Wondery Plus subscribers can listen to Crime and Sports early and ad-free right now. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts.
In the depths of an Atlanta forest, a clash between activists and authorities ends in tragedy. I'm Matthew Scher, and on my new podcast, We Came to the Forest, we expose the hidden truths behind a shootout that left one activist dead and countless lives forever changed. Binge all episodes of We Came to the Forest ad-free on Wondery Plus.
Welcome back to Crime and Sports.
Yay!
Yay, and I'm going to yay right back at you.
All right.
Right back to you. My name is James Petrogallo. I'm here with my co-host.
I am Jimmy Wisman.
Big week this week, guys.
Wowza.
Big week. We're excited for this week. We're excited for the last week, too. Yeah. You guys were awesome last week, especially on iTunes. Thank you guys for that.
That story, too, is fucking crazy.
Yeah, that was a crazy story.
So much dick grabbing.
That Brett Rogers story was one of those where it just got weirder and weirder and weirder.
Yeah.
And it's one of those where I'm like, oh, no, the craziness isn't till the very end, but it's so worth it. It's just worth it. It's there for you. It's a big closer. But yes, if you enjoyed that and everything else, thank you guys, like I said, for your iTunes reviews. If you haven't done it yet, please, I don't know what you're waiting for. Get on iTunes,
we
please.
Can use it.
Give us 5 stars. It would really help. Just tell us you're following instructions, following directions. It does not matter. The 5 stars just really, really help us on the business end. And if you want to do more, if you're like, I need to reach down deeper into my soul and come up with something, you can do that.
Yeah.
You can get on patreon.com/crimeinsports, just like the show, and you can make a donation there. There's lots of cool rewards, and we will love you forever.
We will.
It helps us out immensely. We appreciate it like we could never begin to describe to you. Also, you can make a one-time donation at PayPal using crimeinsports@gmail.com over there.
You can.
You should be listening to Small Town Murder as well, our other show. It's just like this, except we're talking about a small town murder. I don't know why you wouldn't listen to that. While you're at it, check out P.S. I Hate This Movie, where me and my girlfriend Sarah make fun of bad romantic comedies.
There you go.
Rip them to shreds, just like we rip apart athletes. Same sort of thing. You want to come to Stand Up Live in Phoenix.
Yes.
Come to Stand Up Live in Phoenix, July 21st through the 23rd. Mm-hmm. Come out there. I'll be performing.
James at the club. That's
I'll be at the club.
Right.
Also, don't just go and show
see
up.
James.
Go see me at the club, but also see the headliner there, who is my buddy Paul Verzi, who is amazing, hilarious comic. You really keep an eye on this guy. He's Bill Burr's guy. They work together all over the country. He's just doing Toronto or Just for Laughs in Montreal.
Right.
You want to see this guy. He's an amazing headliner, and I'm going to rip it up too. I got to say a little bit. I'll be good and angry for you folks. And if you wanted to come see us, you can get a hold of me, and I will put you on the list. So you can do that. You can either do crimeinsports@gmail.com. You can do that, or you can do. I won't give you my email address because you'll have to spell my last name. So just do crimeinsports@gmail.com, and I'll keep track, and I'll put you on the list if you want that. Very excited, though, for this week. Very, very pumped. God. Also, at the end, stay tuned, because we have a lot of shout-outs for people who have sent us so much cool stuff.
We got the coolest gifts.
We got really cool gifts, so it's
these
awesome.
Things are ridiculous.
Yeah, it's really cool.
These crocheted, I think that's crocheted.
I don't know what the hell, how
is
they're
it you've
done.
come to arrive here with 2 pistols on it?
That's
we'll put them on our
amazing.
Snapchat.
Yeah.
And the other one,
we posted them on our Facebook. It's You Sir May Fuck Off.
Yeah. It was
good God. How can we forget that?
So
thank
fucking
you guys
great
for that. That's so damn cool. We love it so much with the 2 guns like the Mexican pimp.
It's amazing.
Thank you guys. Really, that was
Brianna Rose.
Yes, Brianna Rose. Thank you so much, Brianna Rose. We love it so much. Without further ado, what do you say? Let's get into Crime and Sports, because we have a wild one this week. We have James Kenneth Dunaway.
Oh, yes. James Dunaway.
James, otherwise known as Jim Dunaway.
Okay.
Or Big Jim.
Of course.
Real creative back in the 50s with the nicknames they were here.
And he's white, huh?
He's Big Jim. Yeah, he's white and he's from the South. Yeah, so he's just Big Jim.
Just not clever.
And his size, he's Big Jim.
Really?
He really is. He's born, let's start out where this whole thing started, right at the beginning.
Madness begins
September 3rd, 1941 in Columbia, Mississippi.
All right.
So we're down south here with Big Jim.
Yeah.
Yes. Father
He's
also.
born, and then the Americans get sucked into World War II.
That's pretty much it. Yeah. He's a pre-war baby.
Yeah.
That's it. Now, he's a huge guy when he grows up, and he's huge by the time he's in high school. He's 6'5", 280.
Okay.
A monster. That's in the 50s. That's huge now. Like that's big now. In the 50s, that's like ungodly.
Yeah.
Guys weren't that big back then. Yeah. You take like an offensive line, the average weight of an offensive lineman back then was like 250. Yeah. That's in the NFL. This kid was in high school at 280.
Like, is that Godzilla?
Yeah, they don't know what he is. This giant Southern guy here. And his funny thing is, his father's not very big.
Really?
His father's not a very big guy.
Uh-oh.
And his mother, his mother is repeatedly called, and I mean repeatedly, over the course of this whole story. His mother is repeatedly called big boned in every. I mean, I was finding newspaper. This was the deepest I've ever had to dig for a story. By the way, for all of this, and newspaper articles in the 50s in Mississippi were calling his mother big boned.
That's hilarious.
So that's like the most polite way they could say that's a big woman that he came from. That's who he takes after because his father isn't that big. It's one of those.
Nowadays, his mom would be like on one of those motorized carts in the grocery store probably, or like pulled out of a house on a crane. One of those people.
That's exactly it. Yes, she would be like Gilbert Grape's mom. Yeah. And now we're having
What's
over
eating
here.
Big Jim?
What's eating Big Jim's mom? Or her bones, apparently. So he goes to Columbia High School in Columbia, Mississippi. So born there, high school there, lives there. In high school, he was just, as you can imagine by his size, he's a monster, just tossing kids all around. I mean, back then, kids weren't 6'5", 280. So he was just an
and this
absolute
is in high
beast.
School.
And,
he's that big in high school.
He actually cut weight for college. Like they made him shrink down a little bit. They're like, you're a little too big for college. Get down to about 265. They made him lose like 15 pounds because he was pushing, the 285 mark in high school.
It's illegal for you to play in this league because you're going to hurt people.
You're going to hurt people. Yeah. Imagine what he was doing to high school kids back then. I mean, goddamn.
And he's going to land on them when he tackles them.
Oh, yeah. He plays fullback. They put him as a fullback, number one.
Of course. If you're a coach, you're looking at him going, how can I get him the ball?
Yeah. In the 50s and 60s, that was a big thing in football. If you had a big guy who didn't even have to be that athletic, just a giant guy, you'd put him at fullback and just give him the ball and have him fall. He could fall forward for 5 yards with people hanging off of him, and you get 5 on a carry. That's what they used to do. They did that with him, and they said it was when he was bearing down on the line, the people were scared to tackle him.
Of course.
Once he gets up ahead of steam, too, because a fullback, you're all the way back in the backfield.
Yeah.
So you get ahead of steam running, and that's some shit there. He also played defensive tackle, where he was just swallowing people up and nobody could run on him because obviously he's a monster, this guy in high school. I can't imagine what he looked like. I wish there was more pictures of him, because I saw a couple of pictures, but I wish there was pictures of him playing football more. Yeah. I really want like nowadays how we have like good cameras where we can see everything. I want to see him head toward the line, and I want to see some kid who's like 5'11", $175 trying to tackle him.
I want to see how's that made, like that Discovery Channel thing, showing how they make the giant helmet that has to go on that fuck's head, because it's got to be like a Volkswagen Beetle, just chop the hood and trunk.
Monstrous,
I'm sure.
Monstrous.
And they just weld that shit onto his dome.
And balding since
really
forever. Balding since forever. He's one of those guys. He's a giant, huge guy.
His body's just busy keeping him alive. It doesn't have time to grow hair.
No time for hair, guy. Sorry. Listen to me. I'm growing this big jowl thing that's hanging down, because he's got that by a little later in his life.
Hilarious.
I'm growing these jowls out. I don't have time for my hair. Although later on he will grow an impressive full beard. That is really hilarious.
A good lumberjack one?
It's more than a lumberjack one. It's a dairy farming beard.
Nice.
As we'll get to later.
It takes 7 dairy farmers to grow his beard.
That's what it is, and then he collects them from all of them because they're scared of him. And here's my beard. Here, Big Jim. Big Jim took my beard.
My chin for you, Big Jim.
No problem, Big Jim. It's all right. In high school, he is known as Big Un.
Un?
I don't know.
Oh, Biggin.
Biggin.
Yeah.
Oh, Biggin.
Yeah.
Big
like
Un.
Big One, Biggin.
I thought it was because he was.
No, it's Biggin.
Dunaway.
It's a Southern thing.
Like
no.
Dun Un.
No, it's Biggin.
But he's not known as a Biggin. He's known as Biggin.
Yeah, that's just what they call it. That's just what they call a big ass dude.
But it's BIG-UN.
Yeah, because they're dumb.
I thought there was Big Dunaway. Like,
no,
all right, well,
it's
whatever.
It's for them to just fucking look at it and go, oh, that's how it's pronounced. Biggin. It's just how it's written. Biggin.
Jesus Christ! I never thought that for a second.
That's
Holy
it.
shit!
I
wow.
got a friend. He's not dumb, and the people that nicknamed him aren't dumb. It's just they took a Southern dumb name and fucking tacked it onto him. His name's George, and you'd rather go by Biggin than George.
I guess so. Yeah, no offense to the South, but if you call someone Biggin as their nickname, that's pretty fucking stupid. I don't know what to tell you. Sure, we have plenty of stupid nicknames in the North, too. It's just that's particularly dumb.
It's just how they pronounce Big One. Biggin?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Except not the word one.
Right. They don't spell one out because then it's tough to spell.
So, that's a problem, too. So we've discovered it all now. Now we really figured out the whole plan here. The local paper in 1958, when he's a senior in high school, the local paper has a picture of him. This is crazy because he's holding up hoisting them like they're a dumbbell. Yeah. A 150-pound kid with one arm and a 135-pound kid with the other arm.
Wow.
He's holding them in the air.
In one arm.
Just one arm each.
Do you know how much effort it takes me to put 135 pounds in the air?
Yeah, I can't do it. This guy just tosses this little, and he's like smiling with it up, and they're like, "There's Biggin."
Unbelievable.
Like, here he is. He's the big man of the town.
He's like football Lil Abner. Like that's what he is.
Pretty much. Yeah. He's just this big baby Huey that they all are everybody wants, a piece of this guy football-wise. Silver-haired, middle-aged white men come out of the woodwork for this guy. Yeah. Let me tell you something. In 1959, this is, he's graduated high school now. He's in high school too. He won every honor possible. He won all Southern. He was all Big Eight. Yeah. So any honor you could bestow upon a player.
Whatever he played in, he was all that.
He was all this. Right. Yeah, exactly. He was all Southern, all Big Eight, all everything. He chooses now. He's got his choice of schools. Yeah. But he's a Mississippi boy. Where's he going to go? You think?
Mississippi State.
He's going to go to University of Mississippi. He's going to Ole Miss.
All right.
It's got the word "ole" in it.
You betcha.
He's going there.
Biggin goes to Ole Miss.
Goes to Ole Miss. That's some lazy shit to call your college by the Ole Miss. Yeah. That's a little. That's at least Old Dominion puts the goddamn D on the end of it. So anyway, Ole Miss here. Eli Manning. Alma mater there. He goes there in 1959. Red shirts his freshman year, is typical for especially back then. Guys didn't play that huge. I'm surprised they didn't just throw him in the mix. Yeah, just throw him in there, have him fall on some people. Go. Yeah, it doesn't matter. He goes, like I said, he's at Ole Miss. They're the Rebels. So they're Ole Miss, and their mascot is a rebel. Yeah, and it's a guy dressed in a Confederate uniform. Jesus. Have you ever seen there? It's like a cartoon character dressed in a Confederate unit. It's the Confederate football team.
Is it like Yosemite Sam, essentially?
No. He's in a Confederate
Oh, my
uniform.
God, like a legit
he's fighting
uniform.
the Civil
War.
What
the fuck?
He's the rebel.
Jesus.
And he's fighting the Civil War.
And he drags slaves out there when they score a touchdown.
That's what he's doing.
7 of them each time.
That's what they do every single time. One, and the whole crowd counts. The whole crowd counts lashes probably down there in the 50s. Because this is 1960, so that is not far-fetched. No. It really isn't. That's the sad part. This is Jefferson Davis's favorite football team. He sat home every Saturday and watched them. Ridiculous.
And they get creative. They bring out water cannons and just spray one slave.
Yeah. They bring out German Shepherds. It's really...
one German
ridiculous.
Shepherd, 2 German...
Unbelievable. And we're not far from that, too, because we're going to get into some shit that happened here that's pretty close. It's not far off. It's really, right. It's as dumb and almost as bad, put it that way. This year, though, 1960, Dunaway, now he's a sophomore, he moves into the starting lineup. This is another, he's getting right in the starting lineup at defensive tackle and offensive tackle. They moved him out of fullback now. He's not doing that in college. Makes sense in high school because, honestly, defensive linemen in high school aren't that big. So if you're that big, you're just busting through doing whatever you want. Yeah. So they make him, he's defensive and on an offensive lineman, offensive tackle. And he's a badass offensive tackle, too. He throws people around. Really, really good. Ole Miss goes undefeated in 1960. They go 10-0-1. They have one tie. It's a midseason tie against LSU, a game that was 6-6, which sounds terrible.
4 field goals in 4 quarters. That sounds awful.
Boring as shit.
That's a defensive standoff, though.
That's a standoff.
You like defense?
God damn it! I guess so. That's a defensive standoff. That really is because that's 2 rivals going at it. And there was other games that year they won, 47-0. Yeah. They were crushing people. They were undefeated. And LSU's a rival too. And those rival games are always closer. You play them once a year. You know the coaches know each other. They know what they like to do. Yep. It's like in football in the NFL. Yeah. Divisional games, like if you're a bettor, if you're a gambler, you don't bet on divisional games. No. It's just, you avoid those like the plague because
you
weird shit happens.
never fucking know.
No, you don't know.
Miami gets the Patriots once a year.
It's one of those things. It's just divisional games are really funky and you avoid them like the plague if you're a gambler. If you're not, hey, more power to you if you're got the balls enough to bet on that shit.
That one season when the Patriots won 16-0, but it didn't matter because the Giants got them.
They got him in the end. And we will talk about another undefeated football team here. Great. We're going to talk about a couple.
All right.
Now, the Rebels this year, old Johnny Reb here, they were named national champions by the Football Writers Association of America. So this was their first legit, real real national title. They had shares of 2 other national titles, but they were, back then it wasn't like, there was no BCS, so it was like they'd had a bunch of polls. They had the coaches poll, the AP poll, the writers polls, and they would average them all together, and then they'd make some horse shit up, and they'd give it to the guy who, had the best cookout last Sunday. Perfect. I feel like that's all it was. Like, well, that coach made a nice catfish. We're going to give it to him. That's it. I really feel like it's that just, arbitrary. It doesn't matter. That year before the bowl games even took place, the bowl games were like after everything back then. Like now, the bowl games, if you're not a college football fan, which I'm not really either, but I know this stuff, the bowl games, the season ends in early December, and there's like 3 weeks, a month, and then there's bowl games.
Right.
And early, New Year's Day, traditionally, that sort of thing. So they apparently the 2 major polls gave the national title to Minnesota before the University of Minnesota, before the bowls even happened, which is ridiculous. Meanwhile, Mississippi and Missouri were the only 2 major conference teams that were undefeated that year. So it was one of those. They got a portion of the national title. Very confusing back then. I don't know how anyone was a college football fan. Nothing was the games ended in ties. Polls I was like, well, this is all arbitrary. This is all right. Like, you don't even, what happens here? This is
Why
ridiculous.
does anybody get a trophy? This is stupid.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. You got a trophy because 2 out of the 3 groups of people said that. It's so silly. So that year they end up winning at the Sugar Bowl against Rice, who's not exactly a football powerhouse nowadays. I don't know what they were back then, but so that's a huge season. You can't be any happier.
No,
you come in, you're national champion right away. Like, okay, that's huge.
Shit,
that's terrific. 1961, they come back, and Ole Miss finishes the season with a 9-2 record that year. Lose a couple of games. They get a berth in the Cotton Bowl, where they lose to the Texas Longhorns 12-7. And the Longhorns had been very, very good around that time period. Also, that year their only losses were to Texas in the Cotton Bowl, and they lost a really squeaky close game to LSU. Of course, LSU seems to really have Ole Miss's number in 1961. So bet on LSU.
Too.
And probably now. I'm not sure. Now
LSU's
this year,
really good now. Well, I don't know if they are this year.
They've been
but
up and
the past
down.
5
I know.
years, they've been
Didn't
pretty
they just
damn
fire
good.
their coach last year? I feel like I thought they fired. I can't keep up with it, but I feel like they fired their coach.
There's too many goddamn teams.
Yeah, because they went up and down, and they shouldn't have fired their coach. I remember people saying that, and I can't fucking keep track. Anyway, moving on. I'm more of a pro guy. 1961. This is his junior year. Here, the Cotton Bowl year, where they go 9-2. So things are going well for him.
Yeah,
I mean, everything's fine. He's like 21 years old. He's a champion. He's doing well. He's biggin'.
Yeah,
he's doing fine.
Biggin'. He's all everything he ever plays.
He finds a girl.
Of course.
He finds a girl at this point, which back then in the 50s, in the 1961, probably especially down south, but everywhere, you find a nice girl when you're 20, 21 years old. You marry her, you start a family. That's what you did back then. There was no, I'm going to get a career and do all that. Not sure about her exact size. Her name is Naneel Gates. She's known as Nana, so we're going to call her Nana for the rest of the episode because it's easier than Naneel. So Naneel Gates, he marries her. She becomes Naneel Dunaway, or
becomes Naneel Biggin.
Nana Biggin.
Nana Biggin.
That's Nana Biggin. You know that's what the grandkids call her. Nana Biggin right there.
If they don't call his mom that.
That's true, because she's so big boned, as we're aware from the constant press coverage. You know, she was sitting at home too, reading all these articles with pride. I'm sure she's cutting them out of her son, and she's like, will they stop calling me fat, please? Jesus Christ, I'm doing my best here, for fuck's sake.
I raised your all everything right there.
I raised a nice kid. I work hard on the house, the family. I do all this, and every reporter from
article says his dad's a very small man, very, very quiet, keeps to himself. His mom is fat as shit.
His mom's fat as shit. Every journalist from here to the Atlantic, just making a line like Sherman to the sea, has commented on my big bones. This is bullshit. Fuck. Gave this poor lady a fucking complex. She's going on diets. Awful.
The
poor
hometown
woman.
Papers stopped interviewing her. They're just like, we can't go look at that fat bitch anymore.
Yeah, sorry. She's too big. She's too big. And they're like, come on, please. He's like, come on, be nice. Be nice to my mom. Jesus Christ. You know, back then it was probably all right to call people fat. You know, they were like, sure, she's a big fat pig, that one. Don't worry about it. Big boned. That's
she invites people in. She's like, would you guys like anything to eat? And make a joke. Go ahead, make a joke about how fat I am.
I know I am.
But if you're not going to eat it, I probably will.
It's probably going to happen. So he marries Nana.
Yeah.
Future's bright.
Yeah.
I mean, the future is ahead of these people like nobody's business here. I mean, he's a star. He's got a bright future ahead of him. Now he's got a wife. Everything's going well. 1962 is his senior year at Ole Miss.
Yeah.
They win the SEC championship, the Southeastern Conference championship. They finish the season undefeated at 10-0.
Good God.
10-0, God damn it. They are awarded the national champ. This is what I mean. Listen to this. They're awarded the national championship by the Billingsley Report, the Lichtenhouse, and later the Sagarian ratings.
Lichtenhouse?
No. It might be Litkenhouse. Litkenhouse. Yeah, that's why I was like, I don't know.
These are the writers, obviously, yes?
No, these are different polling polls.
What the fuck?
This is the Billingsley Report, the Litkenhouse, and the Sagarine ratings.
What the shit?
Okay, that's they're awarded the national championship there, but they're number 3 in the coaches poll and the Associated Press poll, so they're number 3.
Okay.
So
then why do they even have those other ones?
That's what I'm
Get
talking
the fuck
about.
out of here.
Who cares? Listen, Billingsley and Lichtenhouse.
No one
cares.
Right.
Sagarin. No one gives a shit because your ratings don't matter.
They don't go into this decision anyway.
No, 3 of you said that they're the champs.
Right.
2 of another one said it to someone else, so they're number 3. They're not even number 2. Like your shit doesn't even count.
Yeah,
your shit doesn't even count to drive them over the 3 hump. There's another team in that spot. So ridiculous. But this is not all joy and rainbows and flowers and glitter on the campus of University of Mississippi in 1962, because this was the whole civil rights movement backdrop here. This actually, ESPN had a really good 30 for 30 about this called The Ghosts of Ole Miss.
Really?
It's really, really, really excellent. I suggest anybody. It's just really interesting shit and good historical. Doesn't really have anything to do with sports, but it's just a historical
good points
thing and really good deal. But this is under the backdrop of this entire civil rights movement, because this is 62. This is just pre-civil rights, and Mississippi is where it was heating up.
Mississippi burning.
I mean, this was...
It's burning all right.
This was the battleground for civil rights right here. And there was a student named James Meredith who was being aided by the United States government, because the Supreme Court ruled you have to let him in the goddamn public university.
You let the black guy in.
Let the black guy in. So they were the United States government, National Guard troops, everything else were attempting to get this guy to enroll in the university and help him get through and not get killed. And there was giant riots at the school over this. They went nuts, and there's tons of footage. And the Ghost of Mississippi is crazy too, because they talked to some of the guys that were in that riot now. And when you talk to it's so weird.
You talk to an ex-racist.
Some of them were just like, well, that's what people were doing back then. I don't know, like they didn't care. And some of them were just like, I don't know what I was, like literally.
Listen,
like,
you guys are showing my face. I'm an idiot. I really fucked up.
They're like, I don't know what we were thinking, but it was the time.
My neighbor Jamal now is a really great
good
guy.
Dude. Yeah, I invite him over.
Loaned me his clippers last week.
Good
my
shit.
hedges. Look at my hedges. They look great.
He gave them right back. He didn't mess them up or anything. So they're fine in my view. It's all good. The blacks are fine with me. It's no problem. The blacks. I gave him a Midwestern accent there, but no problem there. But the people went batshit at this school.
Yeah,
they did. They were burning things, setting things on fire. People were getting beaten, and it was horrible.
Did we get an opinion of this from Biggin?
From Biggin? No, that's the thing. He stayed out of it completely.
Really?
He stayed out of it.
I'm not taking a side, you guys. I'll look like a real asshole.
Well, most of the players, they just wanted the players to not be involved in anything. They just want everybody to like them. They're clean-cut guys that represent the school very, very well.
Don't make waves, assholes.
Don't make waves. And there was a lot, and they were telling, and some of the guys, too, on the 30 for 30, there was some of the football players that went to the riots to go see what was going on.
Yeah.
And that was a big thing because they were told, definitely stay the fuck away from that.
Don't even attend.
Yeah. Go away. Be
Go
cool.
Home, have some fried chicken.
That's right.
And go to bed.
Don't mess it up. Exactly. Whatever the hell we're eating down here in the South, have some grits and go to bed. They do. The South, they love fried chicken.
They love it.
That's terrific. I do like some of the Southern food.
Looking at death penalty last meals. Overwhelming.
Lot
last
of fried
one
chicken.
Is fried chicken.
Lot of fried chicken.
Overwhelming.
Big time.
It leads to wonder, like, how often do they get fried chicken in prison?
Yeah, it's true.
They should probably just give that to them every meal because they love it.
Yeah, that's true.
They love
and
it.
It's not even a color thing, too. This is not racist.
Everybody
Most of these guys are white
chicken.
that we're talking about. The death row guys that are getting the fried chicken. It's really
everybody
strange.
loves fried chicken. It's
delicious.
Amazing.
How the fuck do you not love fried chicken?
Thing ever made.
It's delicious and wonderful and crispy and great.
So clever to think to put breading in fucking oil, and it's amazing.
Fantastic. Fantastic. So Jim avoids this. He stays out of it, and he won't give any quotes about it or anything. He just says, "I'm just trying to concentrate on football and becoming the best player I can be." And blah, 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 blah.
Button hook, zipper right.
Yeah, he gives him the whole thing. He's named All-American for his troubles.
Oh.
So he is a first-team All-American right here. So that's something huge. I mean, that's senior year. You are 3 lesser agencies national champion. Yeah. Well, I mean, you went 10-0. What else can you do at that point? I mean, you did all you can do. That's what I mean. The SEC with a bunch of good teams. What else could you do besides go 10-0? So you got to walk away with your head held high and just go, what do you want? I don't know.
And you're 6'5", higher than everybody else.
Yeah, your head should be held very high. So these riots were not terrific, but he escapes this whole thing, doesn't even think about it. This was before the football season, and it was a thing that kind of the Ole Miss season kind of helped heal the school a bit because they went 10-0. Right. I'm sure not the black guys because I don't think they were playing. A lot of them were on the team and that sort of thing. So let's not
give them too much credit.
Yeah, it calmed the white people down a bit, so they didn't burn any more shit to the ground.
We have these people that we have to help take care of now. We have to count votes. We have extra votes. Shit we got to count.
Can't set the admissions office off flame.
We got
sucks,
man. We got all these water fountains to switch over now.
Yeah, no shit.
But at least our football team's awesome.
But they're really good, so that's top notch. And our offensive tackle can lift up 2 smaller people with one on each arm. So December 1st, 1962, I went all the way. That's the end of the season. We haven't hit the bowl game yet.
Okay.
This is what's odd about this. Now what they do is they have the end of the college football season, and then they have 3 months of poking, prodding, and checking on potential draftees.
Okay.
They have a combine where they time everything they fucking do, and they just make sure that they treat them like a piece of cattle, like a cattle, like a cattle, like a cow.
Like
they
a
treat
head of cattle.
like a head of cattle.
Right.
Thank you, a piece of cattle. So, I'm an idiot. So
a leg of cattle.
A leg of cattle. They treat him like he's a cattle arm, and so.
Jesus.
And then they have a draft in April, so there's 3 months. Back then they did the draft before they even did bowls.
Really?
They did the draft in the beginning of December back then.
I mean, the ratings for college football probably weren't that big back then. So if they're going into the majors, going into the NFL, maybe that you now know who is going to be in the NFL. Maybe it'll draw more ratings to the bowls.
Maybe. I don't even know if it was that because I don't even think they were looking at it so much.
That's crazy though to put a guy that still has games to play and you're signing him.
You draft him. You don't know if he's going to break his leg in a bowl game.
Right.
Also, too, you kind of want to see who performs well on the big stage. That's kind of a big thing. Hey, that quarterback really turned it on when it mattered. Maybe we look at that.
Maybe we should have gotten that one instead of this asshole.
Although maybe sometimes teams put a little bit too much stock in that. I know in the NBA they talk about owners that watch too closely watch the tournament usually make bad draft picks. Because they see a guy, they fall in love with him over 3-4 games, and they're a good player for college, but they just fell in love with how gutsy they were or how well they played in college.
They led the team. Yeah, maybe the other guys are just gutless as fuck.
Yeah, or the lesser competition is another thing. December 1st, 1962, in Dallas, Texas, is the 1963 AFL draft.
Oh.
This is not the NFL.
No.
Everybody out there, if you're a big football fan, you'll know this. If not, I'll give you a short history of what the AFL is. AFL began in 1960. NFL is the big monster league. They had a little bit of competition in the 40s. They had the All-America Football Conference. The AAFC began play in 1946, but they petered out in just a few years. One of those things. Actually, interesting thing about the AAFC was their kind of perennial champion was the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
And they were considered to be, a really great team no matter what league they played in.
Right.
And after the 1949 season, the AAFC, because of financial issues, obviously disbanded, and 3 of their teams went to the NFL, and that's where we got the Browns, San Francisco 49ers, and the Baltimore Colts, original version of the Baltimore Colts. Yeah. They all came into the league in 1950. So they were some sort of, there's a precedent for a rival league that somewhat competes here.
That's so weird how the inception of these teams, how it evolved into what it is today. Because the Baltimore and Cleveland, between those two cities, there's 3 teams involved in that now today.
Moving all around,
the way it's gone through.
And the Niners are still the Niners.
Right.
I mean, the Browns have been gone and then got the Browns back again.
The Browns went from Cleveland to Baltimore to be the Ravens, and Baltimore Colts moved to Indianapolis. Yeah. And now Cleveland couldn't fucking just leave well enough alone. They had to have a football team. How you feel about it now, assholes?
How's your team now, guys?
Shit every year.
Just be happy that they were gone. So the league must have, that league, or the 40s league, the AAFC must have got under the NFL's skin a bit, because briefly in the 40s, between the 49 and 50 season, the NFL changed their name to the National American Football League.
Oh, is that
That's
right?
what it was called. But before the season started in 50, they had changed it all back. All their corporate shit, they changed it back to National Football League.
They realized that brand means something to people.
Yeah, exactly. All the way back in 1950.
What the hell is this National American shit?
Yeah,
where'd the NFL go?
That doesn't. Why are we using those two words together?
That's a good point.
Makes no sense.
That's
National
so
American,
right.
well, we get it. It's national and American.
Right.
The same shit.
Just have two conferences and blanket it. One national, one American. They figured that out.
Let's do it, man. So the AFL, though, began in 1960. The AFL was cool. The AFL had a little less talent, obviously, but they, at this point, started competing with the NFL for players. This is when Joe Namath came in and all these guys came in, where they were actually competing for players. They said, let's make this a thing.
That's awesome.
The AFL, too, they tried to make it different. It was supposed to be a more wide-open game. You know, everything was different. The teams were different. The cities were different. We'll go through in 1963. These are the teams that are in the AFL. All of these teams are now absorbed into the NFL, but we had the Boston Patriots back then, the Buffalo Bills, the Houston Oilers, or now Tennessee Titans, the New York Jets, who started out as the New York Titans in 1960 and then changed their name to the Jets because they thought it was cooler. And it probably fucking was in the early 60s when Jets were like a cool thing.
It still is.
Yeah, it still sounds better than the Titans.
Their fucking helmet's way cooler than the Titans.
Yeah, I like their 80s helmets because I'm partial, because I was a kid when they had them, those green plastic-looking ones.
Hell yeah.
I like those helmets for some reason. The San Diego Chargers, who started out in Los Angeles, actually, as the Los Angeles Chargers. The Oakland Raiders. We know where they came from. Kansas City Chiefs and the Denver Broncos. Your Denver Broncos, who in 1963 were a whomping 2-11-1.
They were awful.
Really
and they had
killed
the
it.
ugliest uniforms.
They had the worst, those striped socks and shit.
Awful. That's yellow and brown. Jesus.
There's a great, and it's on YouTube actually, but there is a great, I think it aired on HBO or Showtime or something originally. Terrific, like 5-part series on the AFL, and I can't remember when the game became color or something like that. It's called. If you just look up AFL documentary, it's on there. It's like a 5-parter. So awesome, and they go over the Broncos uniforms in such great detail.
So embarrassing.
The players tried to throw the socks out, and they would like come back with more. It was ridiculous.
I don't remember how they came to them, but I think somebody
they got them donated.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think they were donated. I think they were
like,
just presents that they couldn't fucking shake them
sure,
anyway because they had no money to buy anything else anyway.
So eventually they had a big bonfire though and burned all they burned all the socks. The team like happily like threw them on the pile. Like finally they're gone. We can stop looking like idiots.
When they do the throwback uniforms in Denver warehouse, I want to cry. It's so embarrassing.
The best thing was hearing about people making fun of them on the field.
Yeah.
This is in like the early 60s. Guys would be like, yeah, nice socks you got there, like making fun of these guys. So they said they were like, we felt weak. We're out there being made fun of the whole time.
We're being bullied.
That's what it was.
And we're 2-11. What was it,
2-11?
They're rubbing our faces in the ground and in our fucking own asses while they make fun of our socks.
It's ridiculous. But this 63 is really when the league started, the AFL started to want to challenge the NFL as the strong league, or try to at least... we never know whether they wanted to become their own league as powerful as the NFL, or if their ultimate goal was merging with the NFL, which that was like
business-wise, you want that.
You want that, or you want to beat the NFL.
I don't know. I'd like to be absorbed. Like if you build anything nowadays, you just want to be absorbed and just get out of the fucking business and have a shitload of money.
I feel like
that's
in
the idea.
60s, though, that wasn't the way you did it. You wanted to build a business and have a big building with gargoyles on it and shit.
Powerful and
with a top office that you could see over the city in. Now you're like, that's expensive. I'll work out of my home, and I'll buy like a couple of outdoor trailers for my team to work in, and I'll save every dime possible. Back then, it was like you actually tried to like have some pride. Yeah, what the fuck
stand
you did.
at the window of your office and cross your arms, and every time you laugh, there's a lightning strike.
Yeah, exactly.
every goddamn night, you just stand at your window and giggle to yourself and watch the lightning come down.
And you have that big office from the Hudsucker proxy. That's what you have there. Yeah, one of those. So in this draft, we should get to Jim at some point here. In this draft in 1963, Jim is drafted number 9 overall.
Oh, shit.
Number 9 overall, which is the first pick of the second round, because there's only 8 teams, by the Buffalo Bills.
Is that right?
So, yeah, he ends up gets picked by the Buffalo Bills, but that's not the only team that picks him, because the NFL draft is 2 days later.
Oh, shit.
The AFL draft was on a Saturday, December 1st, 1962. The NFL draft, this is how different the NFL draft was than it is now. Now it's a big deal. They make a huge deal in April. It's like it's a primetime event. The top picks, they do the whole thing. It's a TV production.
It's one day for one round, the next day another round.
It's a TV deal.
Keeping people around watching in suspense.
That's what I mean. This was done December 3rd, 1962, which is a Monday. They held their draft on a Monday, and not at night either. This was like, Monday, 7 a.m., everybody get on the phone, and we'll all pick our fucking guys.
Get these guys in order.
Let's do it. That's what they did, because they didn't gather and have a big It was just literally like 8 guys in a smoky room going, you taking Johnson? All right, we're taking Jackson. All right, good deal. That was it. They wrote it down on a piece of paper, and that's your guy now. So this was December 3rd, 62. Like I said, at the Sheraton Hotel in Chicago at 11 a.m.
Jesus.
11 a.m. on a Monday morning. They had the fucking draft. That's insane.
We'll do it over lunch. What do you guys say? Let's do that.
Yeah. Well, you're not going to do it over lunch because the draft is 20 rounds long back then.
That's right.
The draft is 7 rounds now. And
we'll do it over lunch for an entire week.
Yeah.
Jesus.
They do it prime time, and then they just kind of let the next few rounds, the later rounds in the NFL draft now, just be on at night somewhere. But this, 20 rounds long, 11 a.m. Monday morning. Imagine the smoke in that room in round 17. You couldn't see in that room.
What's the amount of guys you can have on a roster now? Is it 80?
53.
53.
53
it used to be 80,
is your
right?
active. I don't think so.
It used to be like a big number. They just trimmed it down to 53.
No, it's been 53 forever.
I feel like
53, and then you have your practice squad guys, and I think active day of game you have 49. I want to say, but you have 4 that you can activate over the week.
Back
or
then,
not.
you could technically draft almost half a fucking team. and cut the rest of them.
You cut them all off.
Unbelievable.
It didn't matter. Just cut them. Who cares? Yeah, that's what they would do
if you wanted to.
Yeah,
if you wanted to take a chance. Seems like the Browns do that every year now.
Yeah, they're pathetic. The Browns. They're just that's fine. We'll take whoever we can get.
I saw a list of the amount of quarterbacks they've had, and it's just
amazing.
depressing. Depressing.
From like since Bernie Kozar basically left, 95, 94.
Every quarterback goes to
die.
It's
a disaster.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, every Tim Couches and all
that's
those guys.
Depressing.
It's so bad. Wasn't really great outside of Bernie Kozar, who also wasn't really that great, but he was okay. But he was better than Mike Pagel, I guess. It's like one of those. I guess it's better than Mike Pagel. So that's a 80s backup quarterback for the Browns. Sorry, guys. I had a lot of football cards in the 80s. I know all these guys. It's fucking sad. I was a big football card collector when I was a little kid.
Fuck.
So they're 20 rounds long, but we don't need 20 rounds to get to Jim because the Minnesota Vikings take Jim at number 3.
Really?
So he's the number 3 overall draft pick in the NFL. Which is insane.
And the AFL waited till pick
number
9 to take him?
Yeah, they
That's
were
wild.
they were taking different types of guys and whatever, but they really wanted him at 3. He was a Minnesota type of guy because you want a big, sturdy guy that can withstand the cold because Minnesota played outdoors back then.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah.
Terrible.
They absolutely did, and there's some great footage of them playing in blizzards, guys with 2 inches of snow on their helmets and stuff. It's awesome. But the Vikings, they were a new team, too, the Vikings. Their first season was in 61.
And he looks like a Viking.
He's perfect for it, yeah. First season in 61.
They thought they had to draft Vikings.
No shit.
They thought they had to draft actual Vikings.
We need a giant guy. What is it, Biggin? Yeah, he's a Viking.
We need a giant white guy with a beard and enough hair to put into sideburns and
just sideburns. None of the rest of him has any hair, so it's fine.
He essentially looks like the guy on the side of the helmet.
Yeah, except not
like.
blonde.
Right.
Not blonde.
He's not?
No, he's a brown-haired guy.
Okay.
It's so weird that he got taken by 2 of the coldest shittiest weathered teams in the NFL, like in football. Yeah. Like he couldn't. It would have been a harder decision if it was like you got taken by Los Angeles and you got taken by Minnesota. But this is like Buffalo or Minnesota. Take your pick. Holy shit. Well, which one has a worse accent? Fuck, they're both the 2 worst accents ever on the face of the fucking earth.
Hilarious.
Oh my god, the peel of paint off the walls.
Which one can I not try to shoot myself in?
Holy shit. Well,
both of them are identical.
At least they have wings in Buffalo. Yeah. Sounds good. Sign in there.
That's where he went?
He ends up signing with Buffalo. He went for the wings. He was like, Minnesota, too flat. I think he had a problem with Asians, maybe. I'm not sure.
You go.
He's from the South. You never know. So now he's drafted in January 1st, 1963. He's still in college, obviously. Yeah. Ole Miss plays. They beat number 6 Arkansas in the Sugar Bowl. So I mean, they're 2-1 in bowl games since he's been there. They lost the one to Texas, but they won 2. They got a national championship about 15% of another national championship, I guess.
He had to deal with an enormous historic event at his college.
Yeah, that was a big deal, man. So 1962 season, to talk a little bit about Buffalo and what they were doing. By the way, there's a horrible crime here coming up at some point, but this we'll have to get into who this guy is first. It's very important. So Buffalo begins to get better at this point. In 1962, they're starting to get better players, and it's starting to go. Like Jack Kemp was acquired off waivers from the Chargers. Jack Kemp, you might know as a guy who ran for vice president.
Is that guy?
Yeah, that's that Kemp.
Same Kemp?
Yeah, it's Dole Kemp.
I have no idea.
That's Kemp. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he ends up playing for the Chargers. He played for the Buffalo Bills.
I didn't know that was him.
Yep, longtime Buffalo Bill quarterback. He had led the Chargers to back-to-back AFL title hands.
All right.
Title games back a couple of years before that.
Your brain just auto-corrected games to hands? That was wild.
My brain actually did that.
Your brain just because if you type games into your phone, it will go to hands.
Probably, yeah. My brain
That's amazing.
That's sad. I'm all hooked up. I'm tired. Way too much research.
Your brain is an Apple product.
Dude, way
Fuck
too much
you,
research,
Steve Jobs.
man.
Look what you've
shit.
done to my friend.
Oh my God, this is scary. I'm like a research
That's
robot.
Hilarious.
This is turning weird,
I can't
man.
believe that just happened.
Maybe I feel like I'm just programmed now.
You are a product
me.
of the machine.
I am. I'm in the Matrix, man. 100%.
Did you take the red or the blue? I want to know what one to not take.
I don't know. I hate the Matrix, so I'm not sure. Bores the fuck out of me.
I can't believe that just happened to you. That was amazing.
That was so weird. Yeah, my brain. Also, too, literally, guys, I have slept in the last 3 days. I've slept maybe 6 hours total in 3 days. So
your brain's autocorrecting.
Yeah,
it shows.
Between editing and researching, and I've had my kids. I can't believe words are coming out of my mouth right now.
If you try to say fuck and say duck here, I'm going to lose my mind.
If I say any ducking does this, please. Kill me at that point. Put one fucking bullet in my head at that point, because I have gone over the deep end, man.
That was amazing.
Also that year, Buffalo drafted a guy who was supposed to be great, a running back named Ernie Davis, and they thought they could really get him to play for Buffalo because the Washington Redskins, the NFL, had drafted him, and Davis refused to play for them for some reason. So they were like, we're going to get this guy, but instead he actually opted to play in the NFL because the Redskins traded him to Cleveland. Weird part is, though, this guy died of leukemia before playing a single down.
Holy shit.
So
he already had leukemia when he was drafted?
Apparently so. Jesus. He died of leukemia. That was it. Never played a down of football, this guy, this Ernie Davis.
Much ado about nothing.
Much ado about nothing. Never mind. Glad we lost that
all
hand.
Arguments.
Oh, boy. Yeah, never mind. So instead, the Bills get one of the Canadian Football League's best running backs, a guy named Cookie Gilchrist.
Yeah.
Who, if you watch those AFL documentaries, you'll get to see Cookie Gilchrist. Cookie Gilchrist is a monstrous, big, giant guy that plays fullback, and he's slow, named Cookie. And you would not say a word about him being called Cookie. You go, okay, Mr. Cookie, sir. Like, he's a big guy, and he runs people over, and they just show him running. He's not that fast. He's not that athletic, but he's a giant, strong guy, and there's people hanging off him.
Amazing.
One on his arm, one on his leg, and he's just dragging them. He's awesome, this Cookie Gilchrist guy. Great. Just look him up. Look up a highlight. It's so much fun to watch. So January 31st, 1963, Jim is asked to come back to Columbia. He's still there. He hasn't gone to the Buffalo yet, but he's asked to come and talk to a group of boys about sportsmanship and about sports and being a good citizen. And this is 1963, so he probably came in. He said bad things about communism, and he said that listen, don't let the Reds get you, like that sort of thing. But, I mean, he's a hero. He's just, not only did he grow up in Columbia, then he went to Ole Miss, which is all their favorite team, and then now he is a professional football player.
And a spokesman for being a good product of it.
This is exactly the guy all these kids want to be. Exactly, especially in the 60s.
He just embodies the South.
It's perfect, and he could say, I got a nice wife, I got this, that.
And he's successful at embodying the South.
Hey, perfect. Everything's good. Yeah, when he sings Sweet Home Alabama, he means it, goddammit.
It.
Mississippi, we should say. So we have an in their own words about this is what he said to the kids. This is his oratory skills, or could use a little help. But this is what he says to the kids. He says in their own words, quote, I owe what success I have attained as an athlete to my faith in God.
Oh, boy.
If you stay with God, he will stay with you. Good night, everybody.
I feel like that statement's going to bite him in the ass.
That was his speech.
That's all he said?
That's it. And he
That's
said, thanks
how
a
you
lot.
Be a good Southerner?
And he went and sat down. Be your faith in God. In other words, stay away from them commies. That's another thing. I feel like they cut that part out in the thing, but it was a...
And then he whistled Dixie all the way back to his seat.
That's it. Exactly what happened. They were like, wow, he's good.
The
kids were impressed,
Southerner.
man.
Yeah.
So February 28th, 1963, things are getting better and better for this guy. Columbia, South Carolina has Jim Dunaway Day.
What?
He gets his own day.
He hasn't even had a fucking down in the NFL.
Not a down.
Already got a day.
He made it. He's an All-American. He, I don't know, he didn't set any black people on fire in the riots. I would think that would get you less credit down there in the 60s, but I guess not. It's Jim Dunaway Day. The newspaper on February 13th of 63 said that plans were being perfected.
Yeah.
The big parade, quote, is at 3:30.
He got
They're
his
having
own
a parade.
parade.
This is like, I was going to say, this is like in a movie when someone comes back to their old hometown, and they have a big parade, but this is what they're imitating in the movie. In the 60s, they actually did this.
Unbelievable.
It's kind of like what they did for Tommy Morrison. Remember that?
Yeah,
he came back to Oklahoma to his hometown and then got AIDS and denied he had AIDS and died of AIDS, obviously. Please listen to the Tommy
complications
Morrison.
of AIDS.
At least, minimal. Listen to the Tommy Morrison episode. The name of it is His Mother Had a Murder Charge. So that tells you exactly what we're dealing with right there with Tommy Morrison.
Class, babe.
All class, baby. So, yeah, big parade.
That's amazing.
At 3:30, followed by a banquet for everybody in the town where Buffalo Bills coach Lou Saban will talk, his new coach who he hasn't even played with yet. And they're going to have University of Mississippi coaches talk about him. Huge deal. At the banquet, Ole Miss coach named Frank Bruiser Kennard.
Oh, boy.
That sounds like an old-timey football coach.
That's a bad man.
That sounds, I picture him.
Listen to that fucking guy.
Listen to him. He's got a windbreaker on, short shorts, cigarette hanging out of his mouth, holding on to the tackling dummy.
Gold-rimmed glasses.
Yeah, holding on to the tackling dummy going, come on, you pussies, hit the goddamn thing. Put your goddamn shoulder in a bunch of little girls. What do you want, your skirts? Nice tackle. Let me go get your skirt. That's what he says, and he abuses the kids.
Yeah.
That's Bruiser.
Hilarious.
I'm Bruiser Kennard. I fought in a ring for 20 years. Frank Bruiser Kennard.
You call me Frank, I'll bust your ass.
Bruiser.
Hit the fucking dummy.
Yeah, he
Hit
gets
it.
up.
Which one's the dummy?
You were the dummy. Which one? Which one needs to get hit? You or this? Let me tell you. So Kennard gets up in front of everybody, Bruiser, excuse me, sorry, Mr. Bruiser, and says, quote, Jim Dunaway is the cleanest cut kid I know. That's his whole speech. That's his speech. Jim Dunaway, not big speakers down there.
No.
Jim Dunaway is the cleanest cut kid I know. That's it. Don't talk any shit about the kid. He's a good kid.
Cleanest cut, and he's got a fucking beard.
Nice beard. And he gets up, Dunaway gets up and just says, he had like a two.
Go with Jesus.
He was just like, thank you, I love Columbia. And then he was trying not to cry and going off the stage. And it's a big deal for him here. So 1963, he's been honored. He's had parades. He's talked to the kids. Everything's going fantastically.
Yeah.
1963 goes to play for the Buffalo Bills.
Yes.
First 4 games, he plays in all of them but doesn't start.
Yeah.
By the 5th game, he is a starter at defensive tackle.
Whoa.
They put him right in the lineup because he's enormous. Physically, he can hang, and he must have been a pretty good player, obviously. All-American, all that sort of thing. The Bills finished that year 7-6-1, which is really good for the Bills, actually, because they were not great before that. They lose to Boston, the Boston Patriots, in the first round of the playoffs. So, that's a good rookie year.
Yeah.
You come in, you have a winning record.
You're over 500.
You went to the playoffs.
Yeah.
You're starting the last 10 games of the season. Like, that has to feel like, all right, they're going to have more parades. I'm going to have fucking banquet dinners left and right here.
Doubt.
This is going down,
I got
baby.
my own fucking day.
Yeah, I got a day. Who else has a day?
The Irish. You have to be an entire group to get your own fucking day.
Religion.
And it's one dude.
It's one dude.
There's no Jim Dunaways. There's only one.
One.
It's Biggin Day.
Cleanest cut kid I know, goddammit. The Bruiser told us. The Bruiser
I want my
told
own
us.
day. This is bullshit.
I'll take my own day any day of the week, goddammit. So the 1964 season comes around. Jim starts all 14 games. Back then the NFL season was 14 games instead of 16. He starts all 14 games and is a bad man. He's from everything that's said, he's terrific. The Bills linebacker coach back then, Harry Jacobs, said, quote, Jimmy was a really strong guy. He was a big guy, bigger than Tom. Tom was Tom Sestak, who was another defensive tackle who was known as a huge guy. He was a solid mass in the middle.
Jesus.
Back then, you get a big old defensive lineman. Running back goes by, he latches onto him and falls on him. That's the game.
He was a mass in the middle.
He was a mass in the middle.
That was his description.
A solid mass
in the middle. A solid
mass
in the middle with its own day.
You got to go around him.
He's a planet.
He's a planet, and he's a great public speaker, we might add.
Yeah.
Just a terrific public speaker. Top notch. So 1965 season comes around. This is great. Now, by the way, so that he's doing very well. Buffalo ends up going 12-2. 12-2 with him in there.
Have they done that
with
since?
Jack Kemp starting, and they end up Buffalo. This is going to hurt you guys, Bills fans. It's going to hurt your ears. Yeah. Buffalo wins the championship that year. They won the championship. Doesn't that sting a little bit? You were, especially if you weren't born yet.
Yeah.
They win the AFL championship. They beat San Diego 20-7 in the championship game. Yeah,
not even close.
Not even close. So not a losing effort at the end of. That's the first time Bills fans were happy at the end of a season, right there, and one of the last
championship game,
and one of the last, except for the 1965 season. Where Buffalo goes 10-3-1. They win the NFL championship again that year.
Yeah.
They beat San Diego 23-0 in the title game.
Fuck.
And that's not even as impressive as it really is, because I'll get into the detail here. Jim is voted second team All NFL that year too, and his third year in the league. Not too shabby right there. Dunaway, too, from what I understand, he had a big hand in the whole thing in the defense. He was, the anchor of the defensive line. Him and Sestak were terrific. They were so dominant that the Chargers in this game never got past the Bills' 24-yard line.
Wow.
They never got in the red zone of the Bills, ever.
Wow.
San Diego, they had one second-quarter drive where they went from their own 11 to the Buffalo 28, and they tried to kick a field goal, but Dunaway blocked it.
Wow.
So that's how dominant they were.
A legit big hand in it. Hey, look at that.
Yeah, I will tackle you. You kick a field goal. I will get up and block it. You are not getting shit on us this game. It's over. That's awesome and impressive. Their coach that year, Lou Saban, is coach of the year. He's an AFL All-Star that year.
Nick's dad?
No, it's not. I'm like, is that Nick's dad? They've been said. It's been said that they're like distant third cousins or some shit, but no one knows if that's true.
Who gives a fuck?
It doesn't fucking matter. Right away, I was like, that's got to be Nick Saban's dad, not Nick Saban's dad. Yeah. So he's coach of the year there. Jim's an AFL All-Star, which is like an All-Pro. Now you're on like the Pro Bowl team, and he's second team All-NFL. What can you get any better than that?
It's hard to be a bigger star in the NFL.
You can't. No, you have he's in the AFL, but still,
AFL.
He's got ring. Yeah. He's got a ring. He's got all this shit. Things are going fantastically for him. Nothing can be better. I mean, this is almost grace here. Yeah. This is that good. During the 64-65 seasons, this is how good their defense was with him in the middle. They set a record by holding opposing runners without a touchdown for 17 consecutive games.
Wow. Not quarters. That's what they do now, quarters.
Games.
Fucking games.
No rushing touchdowns for 17 games.
That's probably two seasons combined.
Still, 17 games.
That's over 64, an entire 65. Season. Yeah.
That's more than a season.
Yeah.
That's a season and the playoffs.
That's crazy.
And winning the championship with never
letting anybody score on you.
Well, no rushing touchdowns. So, I mean, there had to be goal line stands where the team was on the 1 yard line. They never got in.
Wow.
That's impressive to me.
They had to throw it in if they were going to get in.
Yeah, they're not running over this line. So now June 8th, 1966, the AFL and the NFL announced that they're merging.
Yep.
This is a big deal because this is where we get all those teams I just described.
Everybody goes into the NFL.
They all go into the NFL. Basically, they're laying the groundwork for the combined league, which keeps the NFL name, obviously, because it's insanely popular. But it's announced on June 8th, 1966, the merger. Under the agreement, the teams, the leagues will maintain separate regular season schedules for the next 4 years, and then officially merge in 1970 to become one league with two conferences, AFC, NFC. But the next 4 years, they're going to be playing Super Bowls against each other. Not known as Super Bowls back then, just known as the championship game. The big game between the AFL and NFL.
Fucking stupid.
So this is pretty interesting here. 1966 season, we come to this. This is the first year where they're going to play each other in the big game at the end here. He has a touchdown. Jim has a touchdown on a fumble recovery.
Really?
Stats are spotty back then. I know he had a touchdown this year, and that was his only career touchdown. But once in a while, like some years you have stats for guys, and some years you don't.
Weird.
It's very odd. It's
like the guy that keeps stats got sick and didn't show up.
Yeah, like somebody just lost, the paper got burned up in a fire, and somebody shed or some shit like that, This year, Jim is voted first team All-NFL by the AP. And this is all NFL. Yeah. This counts for NFL teams, too. This isn't just AFL. Yeah. And he's on the AFL All-Star team, which is the Pro Bowl team here.
And this is where America gets their big head when they go, well, I'm the best in the country. I'm the best in the world. Well, nobody else fucking plays this sport,
no one
dickhead.
else is playing it. That's why. No one else plays.
It's still
no one
the
else
best
cares.
in the country. Knock it off.
Don't worry about it. And probably the best in the world because no one else is playing.
Right.
So that happens.
Nobody else is trying.
That's the other thing. Yeah, no one else is even
competing
trying.
Against you.
That's
fucking
true.
Dick.
If you're the guy who's saying I eat the most chicken livers, like no one else is trying to eat that many chicken livers.
Somebody else probably could.
They could. They just don't. They choose not to. Really. So in this season here, the Bills are very good. They go 9-4-1. They go all the way to the AFL Championship game again this year.
How about that?
But they lose to the Chiefs 31-7. And the Chiefs, as we know, would go on to lose to the Packers in Super Bowl I. So if they would have won that game, Super Bowl I would have been Buffalo and the Packers.
Wow.
Would have been Buffalo and the Packers, and Jim Dunaway would have been Super Bowl I.
How about
which
that?
is crazy. 67 season, Jim's got an interception that year. He gets 2 fumble recoveries.
Wow.
He's on the AFL All-Star team again.
Yeah.
The Bills start to fall apart a bit, though. They go 4-10 that year. Not great at all. Start to kind of go by the wayside.
People figure out they can pass on them if they don't run.
Tons of injuries too.
That's
Kemp was hurt. Guys were hurt, knocked all around. The 1968 season, Jim gets 2 more fumble recoveries. This guy's the king of fumble recoveries. AFL All-Star team again. This year. This is insane. Before we get to the Bills going 1-2, the Bills go 1-12-1 this year, which is terrible.
Holy shit!
And they had ominous signs before the season even started. They had an offensive lineman who was a rookie that year named Bob Kalsu.
Yeah,
he quit the team prior to his rookie season to volunteer to return to go to Vietnam.
He'd rather be in Vietnam than play for the fucking Buffalo Bills.
Take that, Buffalo. Yeah. You're like, Buffalo? Nah, Vietnam.
Team. I'd rather go take my chances over there.
It's warmer. It's warmer over there. It's fine.
At least there's prostitutes that love you long time.
Yes, exactly.
According to Full Metal Jacket.
That's what they told me. That's what Kubrick says, and I'll take his word for it. So, Kalso ends up being killed in action in 1970.
Wow.
So this guy never came back. He left, never came back. He's cited as the first professional football player to die in a war during their playing career.
My God.
So, yeah, that's insane. It's not true, though, because a couple other guys did it, too. A guy named Young Bussey and Jack Loomis were playing age when they left to serve in World War II and killed in action. But they were 38 years old. This is a rookie who left.
A 21-year-old kid. Yeah. He's like, fuck the NFL. This is ridiculous.
Really interesting. That year, Jack Kemp was hurt all the time. They were so bad at quarterback with Kemp being hurt.
Yeah.
They didn't know what else to do. They converted a wide receiver named Ed Rutkowski to quarterback.
That always works out, Cordell Stewart.
Yeah, it doesn't work. They didn't know what else to do. Yeah. They had another guy named Kay Stevenson. Does that sound like an NFL quarterback to you? And Dan Dara, who also wasn't great. Yeah. The result was terrible. Yeah. The Bills, again, were last. They were awful. They're 1-12-1. But what they do get out of that is the number 1 draft pick the next season.
All right.
And that scores them, guess who, Jimmy?
Jim Kelly?
OJ.
Oh, is that right?
That is OJ
this
Simpson.
Far back. How about that?
So it's very ironic that these two play on the same team together.
How about that?
Oh, you'll know exactly why it's very, very coincidental that they play on the
weird.
same. It's so weird.
Really?
I can't tell you how weird it is.
There's no other teams that have this kind of coincidence.
Should have played on the same team together. I mean, they're so similar. It's insane. Besides their looks and backgrounds and everything else, their futures,
and their position,
extremely similar. Just so perfectly similar here. They Bills select him first overall draft pick. Jim in the '69 season is voted second team NFL again. Bills go 4-10 even with OJ. Yeah. OJ had a tough rookie year.
Really?
They beat the shit out of him his rookie year, and it was cold. And he's from USC, and it just
what is this white shit?
It didn't go well for him the rookie
on
year.
Coffee tables in LA.
Yeah. Plus they made a huge deal out of him. I mean, he was like. That they tried to.
You game plan to break him.
All of their PR was him, and so he had a lot of pressure on him too.
Yeah.
A few miles from the glass spires of Midtown Atlanta lies the South River Forest. In 2021 and 2022, the woods became a home to activists from all over the country who gathered to stop the nearby construction of a massive new police training facility, nicknamed Cop City.
At approximately 9 o'clock this morning, as law enforcement was moving through various sectors of the property, an individual, without warning, shot a Georgia State Patrol trooper.
This is We Came to the Forest, a story about resistance.
The abolitionist mission isn't done until every prison is empty and shut down.
Love and fellowship.
It was probably the happiest I've ever been in my life.
And the lengths we'll go to protect the things we hold closest to our hearts. Follow We Came to the Forest on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can binge all episodes of We Came to the Forest early and ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus.
In the 1980s, a rosé swept the country.
Hey, Mike, I really like this White Zinfandel.
Well, good. Now put it down. We're going to try another one.
White Zin became America's top-selling wine. But most don't know that this sweet drink has a sour history. What began in 1986 with counterfeit bottles.
A big fraud, a multi-million-dollar fraud.
Sent investigators chasing one of the most powerful families in the business, the Licciardis. But the closer the feds got to them, the more dangerous things became. It's a story of deceit.
At the time, I was paranoid.
Threats.
You touch my kids, I will kill you.
And murder.
With a .22 caliber bullet to the head.
What started with a scheme to mislabel wine spilled into a blood-soaked battle for succession. Welcome to Bloodvines. You can binge listen to Bloodvines exclusively and ad-free on Wondery Plus. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify.
1970 season, 3 fumble recoveries for Jim. So Jim is a fumble recovering bastard.
And he's making it bigger.
He will recover your fumbles. Bills go 3-10 that year.
Really?
3-10. By the way, since he's been inserted into the starting lineup in his 5th game of his pro career, he has not missed a start.
Really?
He has started everything through
every single one
through the 1970 season here. Yeah, so he is a reliable, solid mass in the middle.
His whole life, he's just the shit.
He's just the shit. He's great. Everything's going well for him. 71 season. Jim misses 4 starts. I think he had slight injuries here, but he plays in all the games. Plays in 14 anyway. Bills go 1-13 this year. Holy shit, what a mess that is, 71. So now it's getting miserable in Buffalo. Now it's 1-13. He's getting a little older. He's getting a little more banged up. Terrible. But in Buffalo, though, in 126 games with the Bills, which is tied for the third most in franchise history for a defensive tackle, he holds the franchise record for most career fumble recoveries.
Still. Wow.
Still has it, which every year he's got 3. I don't know when recovers fumbles like that.
Great.
So he had a kneck for that, apparently. It's very odd here. Now,
he just knew how that weird ball bounced.
Yeah, it's weird. He knew how it bounced.
He sat in a room and just dropped it.
Or he's so huge he just fell on it and couldn't get out.
That's probably it.
Just couldn't get out from under him. Plus, I'm sure back then, too, the pile was... Now it's like they do replay to see who had the ball before the pile piled up. Back then, it was just, once we pull everyone off, who's got it?
Yeah.
And he's the biggest, toughest guy, and I feel like he was ripping that shit out of people's hands.
Poking eyes, spitting in people's faces. He's
on the
doing
bottom
all that
of the pile.
shit. Yeah.
I could totally see this guy doing it, and then going, put your faith in God, everybody. Now, first of all, let me tell you about the Lord.
That's how he got a day, by doing that shit.
Right in your face. Let me tell you about the Lord. Now, listen, I just rabbit punched you in the nutsack to get the ball out of your hands. Don't worry about that. Let's talk about Jesus.
Hilarious.
So before the 72 season, Jim is traded away. Buffalo trades him away. They figure he's some sort of commodity. They were trying to shore up their lineup here. They trade him to the Miami Dolphins.
Okay.
This guy has a really blessed life in a lot of ways here. Miami that year in 1972 would be the last NFL team to go undefeated.
Really?
So he plunks down from a 1-13 team to an undefeated team.
And he wound up on that team.
On an undefeated team.
He wound up on the Wow.
Worst to the best.
Unbelievable.
They go 14-0 regular season, 17-0 total.
Yeah.
Crazy thing here.
Nick Bonicatti, that weird fuck.
God.
He's such a creepy
inside
face.
the NFL all those years.
He's so ugly.
I couldn't
Don
stand
Shula.
him and Len Dawson together. Yeah, they had all that. Larry Zonka's on that team. Mercury Morris. And this is Paul Warfield. This is a badass team right here.
Mercury Morris is maybe the coolest name ever for a football player.
That's fucking, especially a fast running back like Mercury, he's bouncing all over the place.
How did
That's awesome.
a Mercury car not pick him up back then and sign him to name a car after him? They would have sold so many fucking cars.
He was black though. I feel like Jimmy.
Yeah, that's a good point.
They didn't. That's what OJ. They made a big deal that they used OJ as a national spokesman for something like cars rather than malt liquor or something. Like Billy D. Williams. They made a big deal. Wow, that's a real step up for society.
Clever, you guys. How'd you figure that out?
His name is Mercury. He's fast. Actually, OJ did commercials in USC or after USC did commercials too. Yeah, he did.
Hertz rent a car.
Later, but he did local car commercials and shit like that.
Probably did some fucking what are the
Isotoner?
Yes, he did those
later
too,
on.
right?
I think he did that. No, that was Dan Marino. He might have done it too. I'm not sure.
Marino did it. There was a few guys.
Yeah,
that did
a few guys that did it. That was
Anybody
one of those
wants
NFL
to keep the fucking
teams.
hands warm.
Oh, Jesus Christ! Yeah. So he's pumped after being on Buffalo for all these years. He comes out, starts talking shit.
That was a terrible thing to reference. The gloves. He didn't do that. I'm thinking of his trial.
You're thinking, yes, you are thinking, you're thinking of his trial.
I just saw him with gloves on.
Yeah,
I was like, he totally did it. No, I didn't. I saw
him with gloves half on.
Yeah, I'm saying.
And we're like, that's
I'm an asshole.
Hanging off.
Holy shit, that's terrible.
That's not a commercial, Jimmy. The O.J. Simpson
trial.
It was
True TV. That's
I
what I was
thinking.
I was thinking of Court TV's
that's amazing.
documentary on.
Which is really fine and perfect, honestly.
He probably should do commercials for gloves now.
Might as well. Yeah, he would be good for that. Gloves or something, some sort of blood-proofing
Cuisinart knives,
blood-proof car paint. I'm not sure, something. So,
God, I'm a dickhead.
That's so funny. So Jim starts talking shit about Buffalo right away.
Really?
Right away, yeah. He says he never got proper coaching in Buffalo. The guy won Coach of the Year twice because they won, but he said nobody ever told him shit.
They're in the same division, too.
As Miami, yeah. And he said he knew no technique whatsoever. They were just told to use brute strength, he said, in Buffalo and just throw people around.
Fucking 70s.
He said Don Shula, much different. Don Shula was teaching technique. He was teaching. He had just different ways of. He had a modern coaching style. He wasn't just like get in there and knock that guy down like Bruiser.
Right.
He was.
He's like, I got some theories and strategy.
Yeah, he had some. If we go here, we can drive them here. And he was a modern day coach back then. He really was. And so he comes in. It's a tough thing. He's injured all year long.
Really?
All year long he's hurt, and after the season he ends up having surgery. But we have in their own words about his injuries here in Miami in '72. In their own words, quote, "I ruptured a disc in my lower back and had to have it removed. It got so bad I couldn't pick up my right leg at all. I tried to shrug it off and keep playing, but it was no use.
Oh my God!
It's hard to realize you're hurt when you've never been hurt before. I hope I can make it through this season healthy and do a good job. I was disappointed I didn't make it through last year."
So they took it out. What the fuck did they put in there? Because you got to have a disc. You got to keep the fucking nerves separate.
I don't know. A fucking Nilla wafer? I have no idea. What do they stick in there?
Cadaver disc or something?
Shit.
You don't know that it's hard to realize you're hurt when you've never been hurt before.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
I don't know.
It's called pain, dickhead.
Well, I think
that shit hurts.
Yeah, I think he's just like, well, it's just pain. But
but he's always probably in pain.
Yeah, hurt to where you can't play is like, huh?
Yeah,
what? What are you talking about?
Can't lift your leg. I know that feeling, man. That having a disc
that's
ruptured, it is so brutal.
In your lower back, too.
It hurts so bad. I have one in my neck. It is miserable.
Yeah, it's
having
nasty.
In your lower back when it's all that lower body extremity stuff, that I can't imagine.
And he didn't have surgery till after the season.
Holy shit!
He played all. That's why he said, "I tried to just shrug it off and keep playing." Like he just said, "I'll be all right.
He's
can't
on
lift
the line.
my leg.
He's got to bend down.
Yeah, can't lift my leg, but let me try to tackle OJ as he runs by. Like that's insanity. It's wild." So. It makes sense. So he fought through it, had surgery after the season. After the 72 season, he said he wants to play again.
Yeah.
He said his back is feeling better after surgery. He's ready to come in and do something in 73. He comes in with Miami in 73 in preseason. And apparently what they would do back then is they'd do a 12-minute run. Okay. Not a mile run, a 12-minute run around the track.
If you run a 7-minute mile or a 6-minute mile, you're running 2.
Yeah, so basically he's, Yeah, he's trying to see. They're just testing everybody. Yeah. I think they're also too. They're seeing who's got cardio, who's been smoking 2 packs a day in the off season. It's the 70s. These guys didn't have the same training routines.
Who ate cake and shit.
Yeah. At the camp, he's the slowest on the team. Of course. He was also the slowest on the team in 72 because he's a gigantic guy.
6'5", 250, 280.
He's in his 30s now, too, so he's not going to...
He's going to lose a step.
He's going to lose a little step here. A teammate asked him how he did in the 12-minute run, and he said, a snail's pace. Told him that he did 5 laps at a quarter, so he did a mile and a quarter in 12 minutes.
12 minutes.
That was what he said. He's like, sorry.
I could do that in a wheelchair, I think.
Yeah, that's what he said. Like, didn't even come close.
That's depressing.
It's so funny. But it's same as last year. So, I mean, at that point, doesn't make the team, though. They cut him.
What?
NFL career is over for Jim.
What?
NFL career is over. But don't worry.
Yeah.
He finds another
great
shit league to hook
great.
onto. This is hilarious. This is the World Football League.
Oh, no.
In 74, they came in. This was the ragtagest shit pile of a league ever, okay? They played in 74 and 75.
Yeah.
They said they wanted to bring American football to a worldwide stage. They were going to put teams in Asia and Europe and all this
Barcelona
shit, they said.
and shit like that.
But the farthest they got was Hawaii. They put a team in Honolulu.
That's not the world, fuckers.
No. They put they were a state at that point.
Yeah.
They put the Honolulu Hawaiians in Hawaii.
Oh, so clever, too.
That was it.
That's all they had?
That's it. That's all they had. That's all they had. They're Honolulu Hawaiians.
So good.
Here are franchises that they had. The Birmingham Americans. They turned into the Birmingham Vulcans. The Chicago Fire. Like the Great Chicago Fire, I guess. Chicago Winds, they were the next year.
They just went the opposite way. What blows out fire?
Fire, wind, fine. It was the Chicago Fire hoses. So,
we're the Chicago Firemen. We're the Chicago...
It's all right.
Fucking stupid. We're the Chicago Water Sprinklers.
The Detroit Wheels, which are the best story. We'll get into them. They're hilarious.
Okay.
Florida Blazers, San Antonio Wings, the Hawaiians. They weren't even the Honolulu Hawaiians. They were just the Hawaiians. They weren't even like a city and a team.
Assholes.
Houston Texans, who turned into the Shreveport Steamer, which is amazing.
That's hilarious.
Jacksonville Sharks, Jacksonville Express, Memphis Southmen, Memphis Grizzlies, like the basketball team. New York Stars, Charlotte Hornets. They went to all those in the 3 years, like the basketball team. Philadelphia Bell, the Portland Storm, the Portland Thunder, and the Southern California Sun.
Jesus.
Those are the teams. Jim signs with the Jacksonville Sharks in 74. They started...
And that's the World Football League, and it's just America only.
Jacksonville. Nothing is international about Jacksonville.
Nothing screams culture like Jacksonville.
If they have an international airport, they should change the fucking name of it. Nothing is international about Jacksonville whatsoever, man. It's as local as you get. It should be called the
International Airport.
It should be called...
I don't give a fuck where you're flying from here. We will not call this internet. I don't give a fuck if you're going to China.
It's Jacksonville Continental Airport, period. Shut the fuck up and get back into the...
And we're only calling it Continental because the Continental breakfast is a joke, too.
That's it. Right there. Oh, man. The World Football League, baby. Nothing but class.
Fucking assholes. Unbelievable.
So their league, their season starts July 10th in 74, and it started July 26th in 75, which is kind of, contending with the Canadian Football League, too. Same type of schedule because of the cold winters. Weeknight football they did. NFL games had Sundays, and then for Monday, they had Monday nights from 1970 on. The World Football League had Wednesday night football games and a Thursday night national TV game. It's weird. They went to... They later got rid of the Wednesday and they went to Thursday night football, that sort of thing. Now, another thing they had this is the funniest thing in this whole shit. Okay. Instead of using a 10-yard chain, in football, you see the guys come out with the...
move the sticks.
Yeah, they move the sticks. Anybody who doesn't know, you'd see the big orange thing. They come out with the sticks and they measure, and it's, the ref holds his,
little
3
fingers
inches.
up. Right.
Yeah, 3 inches. Well, instead of using a 10-yard chain, they used a stick called the dick rod. They used a stick called the dick rod. I don't even know what to fucking say.
That's awesome.
About the dick yard.
Dick rod.
Dick rod, I'm sorry. Dick rod.
That's basically they took two slang words for your dick and jammed them together.
That's it. And the inventor of it is named Dick Rod. That's why his last name is Dick Rod.
That
which
is embarrassing.
Terrible. That is so bad. It's a single 90-inch long stick, and that's what it is basically. It pivots from side to side. You can swing it around, do all of that shit. But that's what they did. It's a big
90
stick called
inches,
a dick rod.
So that's
90-inch dick rod. It's a big dick rod. It's a big dick rod.
It's a big dick rod, but that's a first down?
The stick swung down to ground level when a first down was being set, and a marker that slid along the shaft. Along the shaft of the dick rod? You can't say that.
This isn't a rule book.
This is official text. This is where I got this shit from. Rule book. Along the shaft was fixed in place to line up with the nearest gridiron line. It doesn't fucking matter because
that's hilarious.
The major yard lines were spaced every 5 yards. When that was set, the stick was swung back to the upright position. When the measurement was needed by the officials, the dick rod was brought out to the ball position. No, this doesn't say that. Okay. This is official right here. This is from the rule book.
Unbelievable. We were such children. I love this.
This is ridiculous. This next sentence I'm about to read you has to be on purpose. There's no way a serious person wrote this shit. I swear to God.
They wrote this and then they said, we're going to have to teach officials this. How fucking great is this?
Okay, here we go. Okay. Jesus Christ. When a measurement was needed by the officials, the dick rod was brought out to the ball position. The shaft swung down to ground level. The marker lined up with the nearest. It doesn't even matter.
Unbelievable.
They said this. Wow.
And you're supposed to take that rule seriously.
The dick rod's brought out to the ball position and you swing the shaft down. That's serious. There was guys like, look, guys, they argued about that. People said, no, you don't bring the dick rod to the ball position. What do we do with the shaft?
You got to swing the shaft.
You got to swing the shaft. Wow. This World Football League at first looked like a big success because they were saying that they were averaging just under 43,000 a game, which is that's great. That's more than better success than the AFL had. But later on, it was proved that their box office numbers were completely full of shit. Two of the teams were inflating them completely, inflating their gates. The Jacksonville Sharks, who our friend Jim Dunaway played for here, they said that out of the 105,892 fans who attended their first 2 games, and probably something like 44,000 got in for free.
Oh, so they're papering the shit out of it.
It's like a comedy club that's like, this guy from this NBC sitcom you've never heard of, he's packing the place. Right. Packing it. They can't wait to come see him, even though they've never heard of him.
He's got an email list, and he's blasting it out for free tickets.
Yeah. The Philadelphia Bell, whose first 2 home games, they had 120,253 fans, admitted that they gave away 100,198 tickets of that.
100,000
So they gave
tickets.
away over 80% of the tickets of people who came there. That ended up screwing up the league's credibility because they were like, this is ridiculous. There was franchises messed up within 6 games of the season. Like, teams didn't have basic team expenses. For instance, the Portland Storm, their players were being fed by local fans who had sympathy for them. Like, literally, they were going to people's houses to feed them dinner.
You imagine Tom Brady knocks on some dick from Boston's door and is like, listen, we're broke.
They get some pot roast or anything? Got like something cooking?
Wow, Tom Brady's here. It's wicked cool. Come in.
Unbelievable, man. So another team, the Hornets, who while they were in New York, they were the Stars in New York, their uniforms were impounded because they didn't pay a laundry bill.
They literally have lien on their uniforms. Clothes.
Yeah, the Birmingham Americans were not paid for the last 2 months of the season.
Holy shit.
The Florida Blazers went 3 months without pay and survived on McDonald's meal vouchers.
Oh, gross.
That's all they had. And the Sharks were not paid for their last 6 games. So Jim only made money for half the season here. Only 2 of the teams could actually meet their payroll. Best, the Detroit Wheels. This is my favorite one here. The Detroit Wheels. They wanted to move. The team had 33 owners. Okay,
what?
That they were paying for team expenses out of pocket as they came. They were like, "What do we need? We need, $5 grand for. We need $5 for the plane. All right, well, here, put it on my American Express card." Like, they didn't have anything in place, like a real professional organization,
which, like a business.
Yeah, they said it was like a club football team, but playing at a professional level. The team was left several occasions without uniforms when they didn't pay the cleaning bill, forcing them to cancel practices. Several hotels and airlines went unpaid, and the Wheels were unable to fly to games games or get a place to stay without paying in advance.
Wow.
Because their money was no good. One player was forced to pay a hospital bill for his son out of pocket because the team's insurance was useless.
Holy shit.
They had health insurance and it was worthless. So he had to go to the hospital, take his son, he had to pay out of pocket because his insurance wasn't good.
A lot of Americans can...
back then, I don't have any.
People, yeah.
But back then, that was not a thing.
There's a lot of people that are about to feel that same pain pretty soon.
Yeah, no shit. Like me right now. Line up, fuckers. Yeah. So the coaches were unable to film games because they didn't have cameras.
Yeah.
The team at one point, the Philadelphia team, played. At one point, they ran out of tape for the players' ankles.
Oh, my God.
That's how bad it was. They didn't have tape.
Their ankles.
Yeah, so this team, another thing that happened funny, John Matuzak, you know who that is?
The guy that was as big as him over in Buffalo, right?
Well, no, John Matuzak is
Tom was the other.
Yeah, Tom Staystack.
Right.
This is John Matuzak, who is Sloth in Goonies.
Oh,
John Matuzak.
Jesus! That guy.
Okay, so yeah, this is Sloth. This is Baby Ruth. That's this guy.
I thought
John
that was
Matuzak.
what a real guy looked like.
No, that's John Matuzak with some makeup. This guy tried to go play for the Houston Texans while he was under contract for the Houston Oilers.
Yeah.
And while he was on the field, attorneys for the Oilers sent federal marshals to the stadium. He sacks a quarterback named Tom Sherman, Matusak does, and he's pulled off the field by the coaches. As he's pulled off the field, he's served with a restraining order saying that he could not play another down for the Texans. So as he's sitting on the bench with the cameras on him, he's waving the document around going, "That's why I'm not in. I can't play. They won't let me play." So he wasn't allowed to do that, and they said that he wasn't allowed. A federal judge said he wasn't allowed to play for the Texans, and he couldn't play for them until after the 78 season, which doesn't matter because the league folds in 75. 75, Jackson.
Leaving him to do shit like that?
Leaving him to do... That's an ass pick of John Matuzak and a teddy bear, and I've never been more scared. That is frightening. I feel like he did some Playgirl or something.
Yeah, holy
that is frightening.
Shit. The sloth role is not the worst he's ever looked.
No,
Jesus.
That is awful. This World Bowl, by the way... That's bad.
He had some money problems, I think.
Probably, yeah. This World Football League, they tried to have the World Bowl, their Super Bowl here, and it looked like it wasn't going to take place because one of the teams owed $237,000 in federal back taxes.
Holy shit.
So the IRS agreed to let them play the game in return for a cut of the gate. So literally they were like partners with the IRS for this championship game.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's wild. Both teams were owed money, and the teams only agreed to play if their owners promised to get them rings if they won.
Wow.
Ridiculous. So Jim plays for Jacksonville Express in 75 because
the whole
the
thing
other
is
team
constantly
died.
robbing Peter to pay Paul.
It is. That's the whole
every
thing.
day.
It's a big scheme here. That year, actually, Larry Zonka, Jim Kick, and Paul Warfield came from the Dolphins into that league. Not on his team, but into that league. Darryl LaMonica came, who's the old Raiders quarterback there, the Mad Bomber. So, yeah, there you go. Also, too, they tried to get Joe Namath. The Chicago Winds really tried to get Joe Namath, who actually considered it. They even changed their uniforms to look more like the Jets uniforms to get Joe Namath to come there.
He might be more comfortable with a semblance of home. Let's make the uniforms the same.
Let's just make them green.
That's ridiculous.
They rejected him. He ended up going and not playing with them. League folds after 75. Jim's all, but now what do you do? Jesus Christ. Now you're out. You're out of the league. You're in your 30s. What do you do?
You
what
used
would you
to
do?
be everything.
Yeah, what would you do?
Commit crimes.
Well, he decides to buy a cattle ranch and produce beef. That's his idea.
The best idea
in Mississippi. He also says he's going to produce dairy.
Yeah.
Becomes a full-blown ranch farm guy.
He put everything in.
All in. This is his entire life. I saw in the paper that, dude, this was so hard to research this episode. December 14th, 1978, I found in the newspaper in Mississippi a post there in like the legal notices section where he posts that all lands owned by James K. Dunaway are now off limits to fishing, hunting, and trespassing.
Oh my God!
So yeah, I found that he just posted that.
He's just telling everybody stay the fuck away.
Yeah, stop fishing in my shit.
I got fish to raise. What is it? Why does he give a shit about the fish?
No fishing, no trees. He doesn't want people on his property. I think he probably had a lot of people, and if you posted the sign and you posted in the paper, now it's legal. And everybody knows, because otherwise you might not see one sign tacked to a tree.
Well, read the paper, fucker.
Now it's in the paper, goddammit. You don't do that shit. Now, June 28th, 1984. So he's been ranching for years now. He's been ranching for 8 years. There's an article all about Jim's ranching. This was, oof, boy. The government at this point is paying dairy farmers not to produce milk because of an abundance of milk at the time. The prices were going in the shitter. So they were paying them not to, do this. And this is an article about how Jim has some time off finally. He played football. He jumped right into dairy.
Not now on tits anymore. He's got so much time.
He's got to take a break. And we have an in their own words about this. This is a, keep in mind, national champion, pro champion, NFL, Super Bowl, everything this guy is. He says, in their own words, quote, "I've missed 2 milkings in the past 8 years. Once it was to see my son play in the high school all-star football game, and the other was when Ole Miss played Alabama a few years ago. That was the 20th anniversary of our graduating class. The management and stress on dairymen is a lot more than I thought. There's the milking, and you have to keep something green growing so they'll keep producing milk, and the weather's a gamble to begin with. I'd be better off in Vegas."
Jesus.
Which made me think of Over the Top, "You ain't got a prayer in Vegas," obviously. I'm like, you ain't got a prayer here or in Vegas, Dunaway. I'll rip your shitting arm off, mister. So, anyway... he says when he first got into the beef was the moneymaker.
How hilarious also, too, that he played on a team with a guy that went and then he went to prison because he went to Vegas.
That's true. That is true.
Maybe you're not better off in Vegas, man.
They have way more in common than that. Trust me.
Right.
Way more in common.
All right.
He says that the beef got expensive and he had to, rather than the cattle paying the bills, he was paying the cattle's bills, is what he said. He said dairy feed went from $135 a ton up to $210 a ton in just a couple years.
That's a lot of fucking food.
That's a shitload.
Jesus.
Milk, do you know what, this is interesting here, milk prices didn't go up as much, though, and he's a dairy farmer. They went from $10 per hundredweight. What the fuck is that, by the way? I don't know shit like that. Went from $10, if you're selling milk by the
hundredweight?
Not even the measurable, I don't even know what that is.
How much is that in volume?
That's not a consumer amount right there. Like, you can't buy 100 weight.
I go by gallons, sir. How many gallons is that?
You can't buy 100 weight at the grocery store.
I guess that's
maybe it's 100 gallons.
Unhomogenized and
that's straight out of the cow.
Right.
I don't know.
Whatever hundredweight is. That sounds like the measurement of oil, though.
That's it. Then it only went up to $12 per hundredweight in the last 8 years, but feed went up from $135 a ton to $210 a ton. So as you can see, this is a tough deal.
He's paying a lot more and making the same amount of money.
Yeah, all in all, business is sucking, and the government check he's getting, though, for now the government's paying people not to produce. So he said he's decided to scale back his dairy business, kick it a little bit. He said he'll still do it. He likes making his own decisions. He says he also has a boss back at the house, though. His wife, Nana, obviously. That's his boss back at the house there. He's trying to be cutesy. He hired a man named Hayes. Doesn't even have a first name. He's a southern milker.
Doesn't even have a first name.
He's a southern milker. They don't even, that's just Hayes. Don't worry about him. He'll die out there milking the cows, and we'll just put him right into the big trough. No one will ever notice. Right into the pigs. They won't even
throw him right into all that tonnage,
like in Deadwood.
Of food.
Yep, just like in Deadwood. No problem. Mr. Wu. Watch Deadwood, Jimmy.
Right.
So he said he hired Hayes to milk the cows, but he can't help but look over his shoulder because that's his business. He's a cowman. Or dairyman, actually. Cattleman. He's a dairyman at this point, is how he describes himself, actually. So he's doing all of that. March 29th, 1991. He's been 15 years in the dairy business now. I mean, he's a damn dairy farmer. He's rocking it. He's inducted into the Mississippi Sports Hall of Fame. Along with Harris Stewart, Red Stroud, and Dizzy Dean, the Hall of Fame Cardinals pitcher from back in the day.
He shows up with cow shit all over him.
Cow shit everywhere. 1990s, early 1990s here, 93, 92, 93. Jim begins having an affair on his wife.
Uh-oh. So much for years. She's the boss.
Yeah, she's not the boss now. A woman named Linda Robin. He starts spending a bunch of cash on her, too. Like out of a dairy guy's.
Hey, buddy.
Yeah, this
you don't
is
have that
crazy.
much.
Leads to March 1995. Jim moves out of the house with Nana. It's a wife of 34 years.
He's had enough of her shit.
Yep, and he is open completely about that. He's moving in with Linda.
Oh, boy.
And you fuck yourself, lady. I'm going and moving in with Linda. That's it. 95, he files for divorce.
He's got kids?
Oh, yeah, they have a couple kids. Yeah, of course. Of course they have a couple kids. Let's find out about those kids in a minute. They're going to come in big time. He's going to wish he never had those kids soon. And we're going to be thankful that he did. Put it that way. 95, he files for divorce. He says that prior to the separation, they had worked diligently for accumulation of assets consisting of property, equipment, livestock, dairy farm, all this shit.
Yeah. There's plenty of tits out there that she owns half of.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, she owns half of a lot of tits. Now, when he filed for divorce, he obtained a court order entitling him to sole operation of the dairy pending final resolution. This is just like a temporary thing here. Problem is, at about the same time he leaves the home here with Nana, he pretty much stops taking care of any of the debts or any of the bills associated with the business.
That's
he just stops paying shit and just starts spending money on his girlfriend pretty much. He ends up filing another action for a divorce, a new action for divorce, which is, he's filing one with amended paperwork, basically.
Yeah.
They determined that his failure to keep up the farm debts, keeping everything current, was in part due to his utilization of money to further his relationship with his new romantic partner. That's a judge saying that. Like, we realize what you're doing here. So they do this. She files, Nana, Mrs. Dunaway, files her own counter divorce lawsuit or whatever. At this point, Jim files for bankruptcy. So he's trying to fuck her good here.
He's hiding money.
Yeah, she cites a bunch of reasons, incling the ongoing affair that he moved out and all that sort of thing. The judge gives her a divorce, gives Nana a divorce on the grounds of his they call it in court records uncondoned adultery. So apparently, if she said it was okay, it's not adultery. Uncondoned. She went, I told you not to do that. Damn it.
Now it's just considered. What do they call that when they? I'm not going to remember the fucking words. When people get a divorce and they cite
irreconcilable differences.
Boom. Irreconcilable differences.
Jimmy,
that's the word. Right. And which basically means he wants to fuck people, and I don't want him to fuck them. And we can't reconcile that difference.
Somebody
that's what it means.
Fucking somebody here.
And so, what did they call it? Uncondonable adultery?
Uncondoned adultery. In other words, she didn't say it was okay. Because if she said, "Hey, you can go bang who you want," then it's fine. Apparently, in the eyes of the court.
Irreconcilable differences.
I would say so. Yeah, that's definitely it. What they end up doing is, the judge considers all the assets for equitable distribution. He wants to give everybody some. Also, too, he awards a lump sum and alimony to her, though. This is the other problem here. What he does is he orders the sale of a parcel of real estate property that they had called the Cannebrake House, is what they called it in the documents, in Marion County. He determined to have the chancellor determined this to have a gross value of $290,000. Had $146,000 in debt, so they had the net value of $144,000. That's what we're doing here. That's how they're doing the math, basically.
$72,000 apiece.
Yes, and they said sell that, apply that toward other debts. Blah blah blah, all this sort of thing, and there's a lot of funky math and numbers here. Anyway, in the end, they award Jim the remaining land in the Marion County thing, because the Marion County property, because they sold off a parcel of it. This was the land, fixtures, and that were actually used in the dairy operation. Yeah, he gets all of that.
Silo, all the machines that suck on the tits. All
exactly,
that stuff.
Everything. So the judge determines the gross value of this property to be $550,000.
Jesus, that's all it takes to have a dairy farm?
That's it, apparently. Well, this is it's still 1995, so that's not that long ago.
Still seems fairly cheap.
It still seems fairly cheap, but then also too, there's a bank loan of $45,000. He's supposed to assume responsibility of that. He receives all the farm equipment, livestock. They had a lot in California. $14,000 in stocks, which they also had $14,000 in debts. So that was a wash. Anyway, in the end, they had about $1 million in shit is what they got that they needed to split up. They split it up to where she ends up getting the property, most of the property, except for her little thing here, his little bit that they gave him with the dairy farm on it. They get rid of the marital assets. They give her about $7,500 in attorney's fees. They give her money, $16,000 to pay back loan payments and repair things on the property that he was supposed to pay, but was supposed to fix, but didn't. Jim Dunaway here, he's ordered to pay Nana $1,800 a month in alimony, which is a decent amount, beginning on September 1st, 1997, and also he's supposed to pay her $10,000 to pay for attorney fees beyond that. And he must pay a lump sum of $115,553, which is the difference. It's not that bad for 35 years of marriage, whatever. So He's not happy with this, though.
Really?
Clearly.
He's pissed?
He's pissed.
You put in 34 years with this woman.
She got a bunch of the
kids.
property.
Just give her the shit.
I completely agree.
Or at minimal, buy it back from her. You can keep all your shit.
There you go. Otherwise, you can't just trade and have this girl and this new woman and then just stay and
you don't get to do that. That's not how it works. You don't build a life for that long.
You're going to feel some pain.
Right.
Let's put it that way.
It's going to hurt a smidge.
You're going to feel a little bit of pain. That's just the way it works.
You're going to feel a prick.
I would say so. So 1998 in July, Jim is over at Nana's home, his old home.
Yeah.
She asks him to get his remaining clothes and personal items out of the house.
Yeah.
He is overheard by another relative saying, quote, "Why should I take them all out? The house is going to be mine in 10 days anyway. I'll just have to move them back in. So I'm not taking shit out."
Okay.
She didn't know what that meant. That was a weird thing. This was in like mid-July.
They had no agreement
98.
that he was buying the house or
no,
any
they
shit.
were like 10 days. That doesn't make any sense.
Talking about?
It was a very odd thing.
Yeah.
So July 27th, 1998, which is in the neighborhood of 10 days to 2 weeks later, a judge, an order to garnish Jim's wages is entered into the Marion County Circuit Court for back alimony and house payments too, and this is in the amount of $2,250 a month.
Oh,
they're going to garnish his check
going
for.
up a bit.
So they're banging him
back pay, right?
Yeah, they're banging him for over $25,000 a year on this now. So it's he owes some in house payments, back alimony. They're lumping it into this, so that's a good amount.
Yeah.
In this also there is a ruling. This is July 27th. There's a ruling in the divorce expected very soon in everything. This was just a temporary thing for the $2,250.
Yeah.
That day, though, the order to garnish the wages was filed, and this was going down.
Okay.
That day, same day, Jim goes to see Nana at her home.
Uh-oh.
We don't know what happened. We have no idea. We do know that he leaves, and later on that night, a relative comes over and finds Nana dead in her half-empty swimming pool.
Oh, shit.
She is dead, face down. Blood is everywhere in her half-empty swimming pool. So she didn't just go for a dip.
Swimming, no.
She didn't go for a dip and drown. It's a half-empty, shitty swimming pool.
Right.
Autopsy results showed that she died from drowning, but was definitely placed in the pool after multiple blunt force trauma to the back of the head, resulting in a skull fracture, bruises on her arms, and bruises on her body.
Yeah, so she clearly slipped and fell down those concrete steps into the pool
several times. Just bounced her way down the pool.
She got back up and
then said, "I can still swim. I can do it."
She's like, "I got to get down these steps without falling. I'm going to do it over and over and over again."
Yeah, the Marion County coroner.
Maybe she was definitely skateboarding that pool. Definitely,
that's possible.
That's what happened.
Yeah, you know what? She was trying to drain it. And she's like, "I'll just ride the top for
Lords
now."
of Dogtown.
That's right.
I gotta do this.
I'm just gonna do some grinds on the top, and then I'll dip in when it's all drained, all drowned. So, all drained. That was the right thing the first time. Marion County Coroner Norma Williams said the autopsy also revealed that she had an open fracture to her skull and was unconscious when she was placed in the water.
Oh, my God.
So her head is split open, her skull is split open, and she's unconsciously placed in the water. So the way they word it is literally when her assailant placed her in the water.
Yeah.
There's no way this is an accident.
No.
This is not an accident. Yeah. Absolutely not. Her ex-husband was there that day, the same day she filed a garnishment to get $2,250 a month from him after all this stuff. Wonder who's a suspect.
Can't imagine.
I wonder.
Can't imagine.
Wonder who a suspect would be if you and another guy were murdered in front of your Brentwood apartment because in a house that the guy was paying for and a car that he was paying for that you're driving and all that. I wonder who you would suspect at that point. Who? Colombian drug dealers, maybe? This guy can't claim Colombian drug dealers with Nana, I don't think. Some 56-year-old lady.
Did she have a handsome house guest that knows how to describe what bonk sound like?
I don't think so. No Kato Kalin just going, "I don't know nothing, man."
It sounded like a bonk.
Just like a bump on the wall. My picture moved on the wall.
So funny.
Yeah, Jim is arrested the next day. Shocker there. Marion County Justice Court, Sharon Hartfield sets Dunaway's bond at $500,000 during his initial appearance Wednesday night. He's huge. I don't know where he's going to get away from. You could see him from...
Biggin is not going anywhere.
Biggin ain't going nowhere. You know right where Biggin is all the time.
He's slow as fuck, too. It takes him 12 minutes to go a mile and a quarter.
Yeah, there's a trail of chicken bones behind him. You can catch right up to him. Trail of fried chicken bones.
12-minute mile and a quarter fucking 15 years ago. He ain't going anywhere.
Oh, God, now forget about it.
He's out of shape.
He'd get a quarter in 12 minutes. He is, arrested. It's all over the papers, Buffalo. And this is 98. Yeah. This is 1998, July 31st. So this is 2 years after the O.J. verdict.
Awesome.
So this is a Buffalo Bills O.J. teammate. It's insane.
A white Buffalo Bill.
That's it.
This team is generating some wife killers.
Yeah, it is. But he wasn't as famous as O.J., so it really didn't get the publicity.
Right.
It really didn't, because O.J. was on commercials.
Yeah.
He was a movie star, for Christ. He's Nordberg.
Isotoners.
Yeah, isotoners. He's selling gloves, goddammit. He's getting pushed down the stairs by Leslie Nielsen. He's got a career.
He's on a creepy crawler underneath a truck being drug around town.
This guy, not at all. So that's how this happens here. Now, 1998, after this murder, there's people are the children, their children, Jim and Nana's children, Jason and Katrina. They start a trend where they are tying black ribbons around poles, having people do it all over town to show support for the solving of their mother's murder. Yeah. Which I think it's pretty solved.
They know, right?
Yeah. So he's been charged with murder. He gets officially charged with the murder, and in a few days, they have to take him to the grand jury for indictment. The grand jury fails to indict him on the murder charge. I have no fucking idea. No idea how they did not indict him.
Did they get the same jury from L.A.? What the fuck happened?
I can't even begin. I mean, he was the circumstantial evidence is off the charts.
That's unbelievable.
It's unreal circumstantial evidence.
He was there, for fuck's sake.
He was there that day. Admits to being there. The same day she tried to garnish his wages. But he's like, somebody must have come after me, bashed her head in and drowned her.
Somebody else must hate her more than me.
Super weird. I wonder who else she's garnishing.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, Jesus Christ. I mean, he's set free from there, and that must have, I guess, I don't know what he's thinking there. Does he think that that's over? I would think, I'd be waiting for those charges to get refiled real quick.
They're going to find another group of people to put on a grand jury to fucking indict me. They're going to.
Yeah, I mean, he's like, I'll probably get some fresh air. He's like, I'm going to take a walk.
Is he dumb enough to think that possibly that they can't because of double jeopardy? Does he think that he's...
I don't know. I don't think he doesn't have a choice. They didn't indict him, so he goes home.
He just walks.
He's like, it's like a mile and a quarter to my house. I should get there in about 24 minutes because things are going bad here. And along the way, he's walking, he hears dogs barking behind him. And he turns around, and it's Bobby Colorado, animal trainer. And he says, how is it you come to arrive here? What the fuck? What's wrong with you? Huh?
What the fuck is wrong with you?
What the fuck is wrong? A half-empty pool? Yeah, that's a brilliant strategy. What did you think? The cops were going to come and they go, oh, she must have went for a swim. Yeah, it's all moldy and green and half empty. It's perfect swimming weather. This is great.
She needed a dip.
Yeah, how fucking stupid are you? What's wrong with you? Huh? You played with O.J. Did you see what happened? What did you think? They're going to let that go again? And now you're free? You're not going to be free, mister. You're not going to be No. The dogs don't like you. They know an asshole. That's right. Now, get back, Sparky. Let's go. Let's go. I got to go now. And then poof, he's gone in a puff of marinara sauce. He's out of there.
Dog shit and
marinara. Dog shit and marinara sauce, and he didn't like the dogs, Mr. Dunaway. He was very scared of the dogs. So July 28th, his wife is dead, but he still has an appeal in the divorce. Okay. He's still appealing because it's to her estate now.
Oh, okay.
So they're still doing all this. He's complaining he is strapped with the bulk of the debt of everything. I was like, you killed the other person who might be able to take care of that debt, asshole. You know, he said that he filed for bankruptcy. That should have exonerated him from all the terms of all this shit, which that's not how that works.
That's not how it works.
He says that he's been left with no means of producing the income to service the debt because of the limited profitability of the dairy operation and his inability to borrow working capital since the real property he intended to use as collateral was awarded to his ex-wife.
Okay.
And
this is your fault, dude.
That's all your fault. And now she can't help you because she's fucking dead because you killed her.
Murdered the only person that could give you a hand.
Allegedly.
Right.
So
allegedly.
So he argues that, he argues all this shit, and the judge says, no, not actually true.
That's
Fuck
not how
you.
it works.
He says, the dairy farming was awarded to him, so you could have made money off of that. You can't blame her having property on that. All of the indebtedness was associated with that business, which you're taking care of, so you should have no problem there. The whole deal, none of the assets that were awarded to her were directly used in the dairy operation. So that's it. It's ridiculous that he's even saying this. Basically, they say that, he's got living expenses, yes, and they talk about that. They talk about his ability to maintain a reasonably comfortable lifestyle for himself, pay the relatively large periodic alimony sums of $1,800 a month. All payments are pretty much upheld. They lower the lump sum amount to they lower it to half of that. But then they also say that you have to pay more because they, I guess they do like kind of forensic accounting on here. Yeah. They figured out that he spent $81,881 on his girlfriend during the marriage.
$81,000?
Almost $82,000 on his girlfriend during the marriage.
My God.
So they were like, you're going to have to pay that. That's got to go back.
You got to spend that money back to the wife.
So that's kind of one of those.
Holy
so they
shit.
were like, it was kind of, so yeah, they cut it in half and then they added more on. So it ended up a victory for him, I guess.
Yeah.
So on August 6, 1999, he thinks he's scot-free, man.
Mm-hmm.
Thinks he's scot-free. He's pissed off about the financial.
He's just worried about the money at this point.
Yeah, he's worried about that. Well, here, you can worry about some more money here. August 6, 1999, his children, Jason and Katrina, file a civil wrongful death suit against him.
That?
They pull a Fred Goldman on his ass.
Yeah.
Lawsuit also names Jane and John Doe as co-defendants who, quote, aided, abetted, encouraged, or assisted James K. Dunaway to cover up his actions. So they're saying him and anybody else that he was involved with.
He's got some cohorts somewhere.
Whoever we figure out that they don't think he was, but just in case they do it or whatever. Suit claims that Jim was bitter over the divorce settlement, obviously. Mm-hmm. The suit says, quote, Nanil Gates Dunaway died as a direct result of drowning contributed to by blunt force trauma of the head. When the body was found, she had suffered numerous wounds to the head and arms. According to the Mississippi State Medical Examiners, these findings are strongly suggestive of homicide. So, they have an attorney named Clark Hicks. He says that they hope to get a verdict against him that would give the district attorney more evidence to pursue a criminal charge. Mm-hmm. That is their ultimate goal, to get him put in prison. And they want to like out more evidence on this to where they want to show the DA that you can pursue this and you just didn't do it right. He said, quote, we're hoping the DA's office will present his case again to the grand jury following the outcome of this case. So, September 9th, 1999, Jim officially hands over his property to the First Federal Bank. They foreclose on him.
Yeah.
So now he's got no more dairy farm either. This
depressing.
He is on a toboggan from grace right now,
doubt.
man. He is firing down that hill from grace. Holy shit. I mean, this is, fuck. I mean, think about the life. He started out so well.
It was so great.
It was so promising. Now he's goddamn killed his wife. He killed his kid's fucking mother like an asshole. This Linda lady that he drug into his little den. I don't know what. I don't know what happened to the goddamn cows that he's been. I feel bad for all these people, Jimmy. I feel bad for all these people.
So bad you feel bad for cows.
But not nearly as bad as I feel for Jim Dunaway.
Oh, my God.
A retail executive store operation field leadership guy in the greater San Diego area. He is the regional director at Dollar General.
Oh, poor guy.
Yeah, and he formerly worked at Rite Aid.
Yeesh.
So at Dollar Tree also.
He loves these cheap stores.
He does. Jim Dunaway, a massage therapist in Phoenix, Arizona.
Poor guy.
Sorry, Jim. That's why we did you, man. Sorry. He went to the Arizona School of Massage Therapy and Community College of the Air Force. I didn't know they had a community college.
Now he's got guys wandering in going, dude.
Dude, man, who are you killing?
I was hoping for a hand job. God damn it.
Now, the one who I feel the most bad for because he almost got the brunt of this was a sportscaster, Jim Dunaway.
How about that? A little bit of some role reversal.
And it's down south, too. He has a job in Alabama.
Shit.
I researched this guy for 5 hours before I realized it wasn't Jim Dunaway.
Wow.
Because I just assumed, oh my God. And I'm pissed. I'm sitting there like, this fucking guy killed his wife. The grand jury doesn't indict him. And they just put him on TV like it's fine. I'm like, what is this shit?
You got reverse Skip Bayless.
Oh, I was so mad. I was so mad. Yeah, it was. At least I didn't put it on television first, though.
But
I was so mad, dude.
So Skip almost ruined another athlete's career. This guy, but you almost ruined a fucking
poor
broadcaster.
This guy's like page 3 of a Google search though because of all of the Jim Dunaway shit.
Depressing.
So this poor guy, I read he's a 20-year media veteran. He's already had a successful career. He was an Alabama native. And he's the co-anchor on WAIT 42 news team. He does the sports. Good for you, Jim Dunaway. I saw him. He seems to do a really good job. And I feel so bad because I was so mad. And I was like, I had this big like race thing. I'm like, so fucking OJ. Yeah, he's whatever. But, and this guy's wife white, so you can put him right on TV. Guy, I'm like, what the fuck, man? This is, the South is ridiculous. And I'm like, no, sorry, South. It's not your fault. This is just some guy who's half the size of him who's calling sports games.
Happened to be named fucking Jim.
And seems like a really nice guy from everything I've seen. Seems like a good guy. I've seen his Twitter. I think he's at Jim Dunaway. Follow him. He seems like a nice guy. Say thank you for not killing your wife. Tell him.
Congratulations on being a great husband.
Yes, and finally, if you're a husband. And finally, a Jim Dunaway, a music professor at the University of South Carolina, who only has a 1.3 out of 5 rating on RateMyProfessor.com. Here are 3 one-star reviews I have to read you quick of this guy because they're awesome. One here, quote, he was horrible at conducting. I think he also... this is asterisk. I think he also asterisk too. I don't know what that is. It seems like a curse word there. Shit too. Jesus. Fuck too. I don't think that makes sense. He has loud outbursts sometimes, and when he sang, it made you want to cover your ears. I do not recommend him for anyone in capital letters. 5 exclamation points.
Awesome.
Next one, 1 star. Awful. Spelled wrong.
With an E?
Capital letters with an E. AWEFUL exclamation point. The worst choir director I've ever had. Totally grades on attendance, and class 3 times a week for 5 hours is a nightmare to sit through. Next, this is my favorite one. Worst teacher I've ever had. Can't conduct at all, plus his teeth are horrible. They will distract you the entire time. Do anything you can to avoid his class. He's a terrible conductor. Holy
That's
shit.
what everybody else wanted to say when they're saying he's a terrible conductor, worst teacher I've ever had.
Wow.
I'm going to tell you why. Because you can't pay attention to what note he's telling you to play because of those fucking
distracted,
teeth. His fucking teeth in his head.
By his baked bean teeth.
His fucking Steve Buscemi mouth.
Oh, man. God. So the civil trial, back to that, the judge ends up taking away the murder and negligence charges, but they will let the jury deliberate on wrongful death by willful, deliberate, and malicious assault and battery, which sounds like wordy murder to me. It just sounds like wordy fucking murder. I'm sorry. It really does. Now, his attorney, Wayne Dowdy, unquestionably silver-haired, middle-aged white man here, questioned how the evidence was gathered, said that a family member assisted in the gathering because he found the body, and he, so ridiculous. He said that even though he was arrested, Jim was arrested as within 24 hours of the death. He had no marks. He had no bruises. He actually said, quote, this man didn't have as much as one teeny weeny scratch on him. Not one iota of a bruise. Nothing.
He said teeny weeny.
Teeny weeny, he said in a court of law.
What an asshole.
He said that the grand juries can indict with such little evidence, like they always say. It's a famous thing. Grand jury will indict a ham sandwich. It's like the famous old quote. But they didn't indict him, probably because he was also a famous local. Who knows? He said, I feel sorry for this family, but Jim Dunaway didn't do it. His attorney said that, yes, there was some blood on Jim's clothing and personal items that were at his home, but the DNA tests were inconclusive, so we can't prove that it was her blood. But he had a bunch of shit with blood on it, so that wasn't his because he had no cuts, not one teeny weeny scratch, not one iota of a bruise. Wow. So right there, I'd be like, he was all scratched up. That's all his blood. Yeah. It's all inconclusive. Wow.
He got a kitten, and you know how sharp their fucking claws are.
Yeah, you know how it is. His attorney said that the plaintiffs presented no new evidence against the client, the same thing that went in front of the grand jury. He said the only thing they brought forward is that he was seen at her house that day, which he has admitted from the beginning because he had no choice. Yeah. Jim testifies. He says that he didn't have to pick up his clothes because the house was going. He didn't say that he said that. The house was going to be his in 10 days. He said he admits to being at the house the day she died. We have an in their own words on exactly what he said in court. In their own words, quote, that day, I had a very amicable conversation with her. I had no reason to say anything like that. My appeal and the bankruptcy proceedings were a lot farther off than 10 days, so I wouldn't have said anything like that. There is a much lower burden of proof in civil cases that we know of. Right. It's the way I always thought of it is like in a criminal case, I feel like in the jury, you got to be like 80% sure.
Right.
You got to be like, because it's beyond reasonable doubt. So that's about 80%. In a civil case, the judge literally instructs you it's 50. If it's 51% this way, that's your decision.
That's the one you go with.
That's what you go with. So it's not, you don't have that.
You just basically got to give intent in civil.
The burden of proof is really, really not there as much. So there's this, but the prosecutor here, the lawyers for the children said, all that's fine. All that you just said is great, but there's nothing wrong with circumstantial evidence if it's the right circumstances, is the way he put it, which I thought was smart. He said that it was ridiculous to say that the bruises and cuts on her body were not caused on purpose, because they were saying she must have fell down. I don't know anything. This guy says, Gunn says, he questioned how she might, quote, might have accidentally been grabbed by the arm or accidentally been hit 2 or more times in the back of the head with a blunt object. Like, yeah, I would question that too. In closing, his lawyer said, this is Jim's lawyer. Jim's lawyer said, Dowdy said, make no mistake about it. If the jury finds him responsible, then that's them saying that they think he purposely and knowingly caused her death.
Yeah.
Well, that's like a way to get them to not say that he did. Meanwhile, it's the opposite.
He's trying to throw some guilt on him. They're like, okay, we're good with that.
No, he's trying to take guilt off of him, his attorney. He's saying,
like, that's what I mean. He's trying to put the guilt on the jury.
Saying, like, hey, don't do that to the poor guy.
Careful now.
He's been through enough. Mm-hmm. Jurors deliberate for 4 hours before finally returning a verdict of guilty of the wrongful death. Jurors were 9-3 in favor of guilty, because you just have to win a majority. Right. They award the children an amount in the total of $579,112.
Brutal.
Which is a lot for him at this point. He's just got his property taken from bankruptcy and everything else. We have an in their own words on this from him, and this is interesting because he actually addresses the death here in this in their own words. He says, in their own words, quote, I'm extremely disappointed. I had absolutely nothing to do with Nanil's death. I looked both my children in the eye and I told them that. That's ballsy, I think, right there. Dunaway says he will appeal the verdict, but through everything I looked for, could never find one speck of an appeal on that verdict.
Never appealed.
Never appealed the verdict.
Wow.
February 19th, 2004, his property, whatever he had left, is auctioned off by the bank.
Oh, shit.
So that's gone, completely done, auctioned off by the bank.
How's this girlfriend feel about her?
I don't think she's around anymore.
Big Dairy King.
Yeah, I don't think the Dairy King is dead, my friend. Ding dong, the dairy's dead. So that's over there. May 11th, 2006. It's the only other time I could see him doing anything publicly, could find him doing anything, where he was driving. He's at a charity golf tournament in Picayune, Louisiana, driving a refreshment cart with some other guy.
Oh, fuck.
But they were like doing it it was like a charity thing. Like it wasn't his job. He was like something to do with some football coach.
I want that to be his job so bad.
And they invited him and a bunch of other people, and they had him. Didn't people go, can I get a lemonade? Didn't you kill your wife?
Where the fuck? Why are you here?
What the fuck? Is there better? There's no half-empty pools around here, are there? Poor Nanil is buried at the Foxworth Cemetery in Mississippi, down there. If you can't get enough of Jim Dunaway, Jimmy, you can't get enough of him, you can go to historyforsale.com, where you can get a printed card signed in ink. Jim Dunaway, 78. It's black ink on a 5x3 card, printed card for the 1972 Super Bowl champion Miami Dolphins. So it's a Miami Dolphins logo thing with his autograph. It is $119 on that site, on sale from $140.
And that's only because they're the last team that's undefeated.
Probably,
that's the only reason.
Yeah, those Dolphins
fans. You think he gets with those guys and corks fucking champagne every year?
No, I don't think he's allowed
I
with
can't
those guys.
imagine that Larry Zonka allows him in there.
I don't think so.
No
I
way.
don't think Nick Bonacani's having that shit.
He's not. No.
Also, if you can't get enough, eBay, you can get a 1965 Topps football card of him on the Bills. It's in perfect condition, $19.95 plus $3 shipping, which isn't bad for a 1965 football card, actually.
Yeah, but I don't know, $20 for a murderer?
Oh, no, it's a lot, but it's for a football card from the 60s of anyone you've heard of. That's pretty cheap,
it's
actually.
Too.
That is Jim Dunaway.
My God.
That is why I said parallel with OJ is remarkable in terms of killing your wife and not going to fucking prison for it.
Right.
Amazing. Allegedly.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, we don't want to get sued by an asshole.
Right.
Well, then again, he's so poor at lawsuits, I don't think he'd win anyway, so fuck you anyway, Jim Dunaway, you murdering cocksucker. If you like that story, which you can go ahead and do is get on iTunes, and you can go ahead and give us 5 stars. Tell us you're following instructions, following directions. If that's not enough, like we said, patreon.com/crime and sports. You can leave a donation there, or a one-time donation at PayPal using the crimeandsports@gmail.com, which lots of people have used. We're going to get to some shout-outs here. If you want to follow us, you can do that on Instagram and Twitter at Crime and Sports, crimeandsports@gmail.com, Facebook.com/crime and sports. You can also get on truecrimecomedyteam.com to check that out, made by the wonderful people over at Web and Writer. Go look at them for great websites and that sort of thing. But Jimmy, why don't you hit us with these people who've been so wonderful to us this week, and we couldn't do this without.
Yeah, man. The first one was Heather Budd. She donated a little more. She does it like every couple of weeks.
I know,
she sends
she's so
over
damn
to
nice.
PayPal.
You're so great.
It's
Thank you. We really appreciate that.
Billy McClellan over in Scotland has a friend that showed him Crime and Sports. He was looking for comedy and introduced him to us, and Billy's listened to every fucking episode.
Hey, thanks, brother.
But Craig Neal is not on social media, so thanks for listening, Craig.
Thank you, Craig.
And thanks for bringing us William. He's a terrific kid. So,
yeah, man, all you guys.
He really likes you, and he cares about you and all that shit. I don't know. Jacqueline Rodriguez, Natalie Demian, Marinda Lynch, Lawton Melmoth upped his pledge. That was nice.
Awesome.
Annette Wright.
Thank you.
Annette Wright. Yeah, it's Annette.
Annette Wright. That sounds
Alex Herman, Natalie Oliver, Christine Palmer, Dan Smith, Alexandra Brown, Michael Morris, BC Pence, Rachel Ten Bruggenkate.
Okay, I like that.
Bruggenkate.
That's a cool name.
Muriel Tetro, Jenny Langist, and Jonathan Edwards. Thank you all so much for donating and supporting us. But Monica Robertson sent us a gift for Frankie the Crime Dog.
Thank you so much. We'll take a good picture of that,
Go to Instagram for that. Kirk Withrow sent us what appears to be
that's awesome.
What appears to be
a
and sounds like glove. A Salt Walther crime glove.
Finger missing,
two
nubby.
fingers missing, and a nubby
cool.
for the pinky. It's fucking crazy.
That's awesome.
But we have that, and then of course Brianna Rose sent the monogrammed. Did you say
guess.
That?
Yeah, I suppose.
They're knitted things that say, you'll see them on Instagram. They're fucking incredible. Go over and look at them. You guys can follow me at Wisman Sucks, WHISMAN Sucks on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat. Thank you all for all of your participation and involvement. You guys being a part of this socially and through social networking is fucking amazing. We can't do it without you. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much. I'm at Jimmy P is Funny on all the sites, and if you want to copy and paste my name, Don't Be a Hero, you can find me on Facebook and that sort of thing. Please friend us, say hello. But that's
Cat
it.
Power.
Cat Power. Thank you, Cat Power, for your postcard.
Yeah, and
Thank you.
She said,
she's the best too.
James, keep up the good work, and Jimmy, go fuck yourself.
She's great.
Eat shit, Cat.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
They talk shit, so that's good. Guys, we've had a blast this week, as always, live from the Crime and Sports Studios.
If you like crime and sports, you can listen early and ad-free now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts. Prime members can listen early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Before you go, tell us about yourself by filling out a short survey at Wondery.com/survey. Everyone out there should listen to Small Town Murder. You really should, mainly because you never know who's next door. And that's the point of this show, really. You never know who is next door. You never know what's going to happen on Small Town Murder. That's what makes it so wonderful. The only thing you do know is that people are going to die, and we're probably going to make jokes about it. That's it. That's all we can promise you. We dig into these towns. We see what makes them tick, from local legends to scandals they may have had. And, of course, the biggest scandals of all, horrible murders that take place there. And we put what I feel is a completely appropriate comedic spin on the whole thing. And you know you need a laugh right now. So get in there, listen to Small Town Murder, follow Small Town Murder on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen to Small Town Murder early and ad-free right now on Wondery Plus.